Got it. Okay. Sweet. Okay. So opening up this beautiful container, really starting this out, I want to introduce our first speaker, who is Sahara Rose DeVore, who I've known for many, many years in my life. I've actually known Sahara since I've been a teenager, so that's a story for another day. But Sahara is amazing. She's built this beautiful legacy of a network. It's called the Travel Coach Network. And her topic is how to turn your own story into a travel coaching business. So, Sahara Rose DeVore is the founder and CEO of the Travel Coach Network, the world's first and only ICF accredited certification program for travel coaches. So, she basically went from broke college student to visiting 84 countries solo. Sahara pioneered a human centric, emotional approach to travel in an AI driven industry. She is a published author, TEDx speaker, and startup investor. She's been featured in over 260 media outlets, including Forbes, Condé Nast Traveler, and CNN Travel, and was named one of 2023's most influential women in travel by Travel Pulse. So, welcome, Sahara. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jen. Hi, ladies. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Saturday, everyone. Yeah, so I'm the first speaker at this event, so no pressure there, right? Jen, as Jen mentioned, we do go back. Her cousin has been one of my best friends for a really long time, and so Jen knew me before any of this stuff happened. So I'll share a little bit about my journey into creating the Travel Coach Network and even just my journey into traveling and why. Didn't, I never knew what I wanted to do for a career path. When I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to go into university and start studying. When I was in university, luckily there, the first couple of years you kind of play around with different subjects. So I changed majors a couple times. But then I found myself moving back. I went to Arizona State for 2 years to have some fun. And then I was moving back to the Midwest, which is where Jen and I are from and live. And I'm originally from Milwaukee and I didn't want to move back to Milwaukee in particular. I wanted something where I felt like there's a lot of opportunities. So I said, oh, Chicago's nearby. I'll go to Chicago. So I looked at a small window of time to find where I wanted to go to school. I came across a hospitality and tourism program at a school called Roosevelt. And I was like, travel, who doesn't want to travel? That sounds cool, right? So I was like, I applied and I got in. And it was a 2 year program. I had 2 years left at university. And it was that time that really was the catalyst to me and in the path that I, took now. But I was a broke college student and I, could barely pay back then it was $1,000 a month for rent, which now is probably like triple, but that was a lot to me back then. And I was so inspired by everyone in my class who were foreign exchange students who, were able to travel to 10, 15, 20 plus countries. And I'm like, how did you do that? Like I've been to like Mexico, when I was really little, that was the extent of our traveling when I was younger. I'm an only child to come from a single mom. And so no one in our family traveled for business. No one traveled on lavish vacations. Like travel just wasn't something I thought about. Um, and so I was so envious of everyone. I'm like, I want to do that. So I said, once I graduate from university, I'm going to figure out a way to travel. How was I going to do that? No idea. I thought like everyone else, travel was going to be so expensive. And, I just believed all the limiting beliefs that other people thought about travel as well. So I said, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And I changed my money mindset. And over 2 years, I worked my butt off. I was working 5 jobs while still in school full time. Luckily, Chicago has a lot of opportunities. So I found a lot of flexible jobs and I was able to save enough money once I graduated in 2010. And so back then, I thought I was going to go for my very first trip. I booked a one-way ticket to Ireland. I was going to go for, back then they had Eurail passes. So I think mine let me go for 30 countries for 30 days or something, or up to 30 countries for 30 days. So I thought I was going to do that in Western Europe and come back and quote unquote figure out my life. Uh, Everything that was the plan for everything. I also found myself at during that time, which is really important, that it wasn't just because I wanted to travel and it's something I wanted to do for the last couple of years. It was also, I had always struggled with an anxiety disorder. And during those last couple of years in university, I was also struggling with depression, like worse than I'd ever really did before. I was really burning myself to the ground. And I was in the same routine and the same mindset. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to stay in Chicago. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what career path I wanted. All the things I learned about in university for my program, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work in hotels. I don't want to work for an airline. I don't want to work for a company that paid me to travel for business. I worked in the restaurant industry, so I met a lot of business travelers. They didn't get to do anything but to see restaurants in their hotel room and meeting rooms. So I was in this place where I was like, okay, I need to get away. We're all fight or flight, right? My reaction is always flight. So I literally flew away somewhere. And so I thought it was going to be for a month and a half. And I absolutely fell in love with what traveling was doing for me. I was like, this is, feeding me in ways I never thought possible. And I think that's where we get like addicted to travel, or the travel bug, so to speak, especially us as women. And I continued on for the next 10 years, on and off. Of course, I'd come back and see my mom for the holidays. I'd repack since I would go now to a colder continent, or now I got to come back and repack. So I'm going to a warmer continent. And I come back to see my dog. But for 10 years, I traveled to 84 countries. And it was the pandemic that put an end to that and brought me back home. But during that time, I still struggled for the majority of that time to figure out, like, what do I want to do? I have all this knowledge, love, passion for travel, but I don't want to be a travel agent. I don't want to plan and book trips for people. My anxiety does not, it doesn't align with me. And I don't want to, I actually have a fear of flying. I don't want to live on an airplane and be a flight attendant. I don't want to do all these things I heard about. And during that time, it was really interesting because there was the rise of social media and technology and the impact that those had on the travel industry. So new kind of avenues came about, possibilities. So blogging and travel influencing and social media content creation, and then the whole travel and tech industry. But I said, still nothing. Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. And so I always thought that I was going to work for a company. Like, I never thought I was going to be start a business of my own. With that said, I always had an inkling when I was younger that I was going to do something. I didn't know if that meant like what that meant. It was a career business. I didn't even think of that. So I gave myself the age of 30. I said, when I'm 30, then I'll actually, sit down and figure things out. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my travels. I'm going to continue to go back home, do a little work, travel, whatnot. 30 came about, and I bought a little, back then there were like iPad, notepad things, computers, for the first time, and traveled with that. I was in the north of Spain, in Bilbao, Spain, in my hostel's community room. And I opened it up and started Googling how to start an online business. What are people doing? What are people doing in the travel space? And I came across the coaching industry. I saw health, life, business, wellness coaches, and something inside me clicked. And I said, I want to be a travel coach. Didn't see it, didn't hear about it, don't care. It's my personality to go against the grain and to do what feels right to me. And so I started my own wellness travel coaching business in 2018. As I was building that to figure out what does that look like, I ended up serving business travel industry, go figure, on the various wellness benefits. So mental, spiritual, physical, emotional wellness benefits that decades of research proves that travel can do for you. Brought that to big companies and educated them and got paid to travel and speak on stages. Soon after started that, I had a lot of people reaching out about travel coaching. What is it? Where'd you learn about it? I might want to do it. I might be doing it. Didn't know there was a name to it. Jen, can you just keep me posted on time? I'm not sure how long I have. Okay. So I was like, something clicked again inside me. I was like, I'm going to build that platform. I don't know what it's going to look like. So I founded the Travel Coach Network in, it was like late 2018, early 2019. And so it's been on the fast track since then, really paving a brand new path in the travel industry. So if you're wondering what travel coaching is, you're like, sorry, get to the point here. You already know what a travel agent is. Plan, book your trips, create your itineraries, do the bookings, do all that stuff for you. I built this without that person in mind. Wasn't what I was looking for. Under the definition in the Travel Coach Network, a travel coach is someone who helps people bring awareness to why they want to travel. helps them set intentions for their trips. Like, what are you looking to get out of this? How do you want to feel? Why do you want to get away in the first place? And helps them use travel as a tool and what I call our toolkit for life, living life, for transformation, for getting clarity, for healing, for self discovery, for reinvention, for all of these underlying reasons why we truly turn to travel in the first place is just brought to the surface in a more intentional way. And with that said, we have had travel agents, advisors, we have had life coaches, retreat leaders, tour operators, medical experts come into the Travel Coach Network over the years to combine the concept of travel coaching with how they serve their clients and enhance their experiences as a whole because of that power that travel has on people. So that is really what got me here in the TCN. I don't know if Jen, you want me to open up for questions, if you want me to dive a little deeper into anything else, I'm open.
That's amazing. So I just want to say that I've been in many containers, and being in Sahara's container through her summits and everything like that, it's almost unbelievable how many people are in her network, and also how interactive everybody is. Like it's like almost unbelievable. I remember the first time when I was in one of your summits, I was like, this is wild. I'm like, you're doing something very exceptional and like very successful. Like, and it's coming from a place of your own individual path and like your soul-led business and what it is that you created out of nothing. No one's ever heard of a travel coach before. Like it's not ever been a thing. So the fact that you were able to make a network out of travel coaching to me is super impressive. And I know there's lots of coaches that are in the space. If you are also a woman who likes to travel, you might be someone who's interested in adding travel coaching to your belt of things that you offer to the peoples. And so this is not a willy-nilly thing she's doing here. It is very powerful. It's very potent. Like I've said, I've been in her summits and in her spaces, and the network, the mass network that she's built is incredible. It is actually incredible. So thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I think that your freebie just was added to the chat. You can double check to make sure that's all correct. And if anyone's interested, could you share a little bit about your freebie in the message thread?
Yeah, yeah. So we have over just under 700 members in our flagship travel coach certification program, which is accredited through ICF, the International Coach Federation, which is the gold standards of accreditation. But yes, Heather just dropped in the chat. It's a free beginner's guide to travel coaching. So again, it gets you thinking about like, what could I do in travel coaching? Who could my clients be? What could my story be? What aspects of my passion for travel can I integrate into how I serve and change the lives of others? And so that is that freebie. And I am also going to drop here. This is actually only for this weekend. Um, we are, I don't know if it's there. So the link I just put there takes you directly to a checkout page. Go ahead. If you guys think you might be interested in travel coaching, go ahead and just click on the link to open into your browser to look at it after the summit. And then the link I put is about the certification program. So our program went up in price this year to just under $2,000. And for this weekend only, we have dropped it down to just under $800, which is the lowest price it's ever going to be again. And so go ahead and click on those two links just to keep them on your tabs for later. So you guys have any questions? Yeah, my Instagrams are up there too. You can always reach out. Come join us in the TCN Global Community on Facebook and Instagram. And we'd love to help you really change lives through travel. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Sahara. I know that you are hosting today as well. So thank you for taking the time out of your day and letting us know all about travel coaching. So thank you so much. You're amazing. Talk soon. All right, so we are actually going to bring on our next speaker, and you will always see things happening super smoky by me. So literally, I'm like the smoke queen. If you have incense by you or anything that helps you Make sure you got your water, your tea. Just really taking this time for yourself is the most important thing for me. So just always lighting things and anchoring in and keeping into your space. You got your journal, your pen, whatever. There's going to be different speakers on here that might light different things up in you. And in that process, the whole goal is walking away from this like, all right, like I know what I'm doing, gonna do next. Like that's kind of the thing, is allow the energy to ignite something in you. So yes, take this time for yourself. And our next speaker is, I've actually was following her on IG for a really long time. Love getting astrological updates from her. You might know her. Her name is Emily Green of Rebel Venus Astrology. She is going to be speaking with us about something that I think we all have been through in our life before, which is her topic is frenemies, a story of breaking toxic cycles with women in order to heal her feminine energy. So, Emily Green is a professional astrologer and founder of Rebel Venus Astrology, blending modern evolutionary and esoteric techniques with Jungian psychology to help clients uncover hidden patterns, past life influences, and karmic cycles. Using astrology as an intuitive sounding board, she guides others toward life changing self awareness, deep trust in their intuition, and healing from the unconscious blocks. Known for her evocative storytelling on social media, Emily weaves music, visuals, and written insights to make astrology both profound and relatable, which is why you're so magnetic on IG and people love watching you. So, welcome, Emily. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to speak today. Yeah, it was funny when you first asked me to speak, I was not quite sure because I'm somebody who very much needs to like feel the energy of the day to really know, um, what is like calling me to speak on and what I'm really feeling. And I think that a story to share with has been frenemy as being one of the more profound moments of my life was realizing that my long-term friends, and I'm talking 28 years of a group of friends, when I began my business, which a little backstory on that. During 2020, like many people, my husband and I both lost our jobs 2 weeks apart. Um, my situation was a little different than his, where I was working for a company where I had done the wrong thing and kind of pissed off my boss. He was not pleased with me speaking out. And so I was actually illegally fired. But it ended up working out for me in the long run because I was able to completely transform my life in a way that when I look back to then, my life is completely unrecognizable in this moment, and it's pretty profound. Um, I had worked as a esthetician and a makeup artist for like 10 plus years and loved that, but was kind of starting to see where um, it didn't feel like a good fit for me long term, imagining myself as in my 60s, like giving bikini waxes, which is not that it's not a good job, but like the stress on your body for just the constant work. It was starting to feel like maybe this isn't the right long term. From there, I had moved into medical cannabis and had worked in that setting. Something that I always knew was that I really wanted to help people and I wanted to be in the helping fields. And when I lost my job in 2020, and by the way, I had a long history of traumatic job endings. Despite being the person that would show up and give my all and come in on the days off and, you know, be somebody who was very involved in whatever it was that I was doing, I always had this like clashing eventually with the people that were in charge of me because I love to work in a team. I love to be a member of a team, but I believe in fairness and I believe in equality and I believe in what I give should be reciprocated. And when I would find myself in these situations speaking out, it would always result in a similar fashion where my job is I'm being forced to leave because I've just had it, or something like being illegally fired. But when I did get fired and I had to completely reinvent, something that I have done since I was a teenager was study astrology. I have always been interested in astrology. I've always felt drawn to it. So while I had a whole lot of knowledge, I had already been reading charts for people for years. I decided that I was going to take professional courses to really uh, be serious about this. Like, I wanted to move forward. And I was feeling really good. I was learning a lot of skills very rapidly, because when you have the opportunity to study something just as your only thing, you're not working in other areas, you can just really hone in on your craft and focus. I was really making a lot of strides very quickly. When I started, I would say, soft launching my business in 2021, the group of women that I had been around for so many years, I was always the person that played the supporting role. I was the cheerleader. I was the one who showed up for every event for them. I was the one who would answer every phone call. And um, I was starting to realize pretty quickly on that the support that I was giving was not, I was not getting it back when it was my turn and my time. And long-term friendship breakups was not something that was brand new to me. When I had my Saturn return, which we all have a Saturn return, we have multiple ones actually, and it can be a marker of a very profound time in your life. Um, I had lost I had chose to walk away from my first long-term friendship. And for me, my Saturn placement, for all of us, Saturn has to do with karma and our life lessons and what we're working out. For me, it's in the house of relationships and contracts. So relationships, working relationships, all of that. Um, Essentially, the more I started to gain traction, and the more that I practiced astrology, to practice astrology, you really have to crack yourself open, because unless you face your own shadows and your own demons and your own patterns, you're really not capable to help other people do the same. You have to know, you know, the skeletons in your closet before you are truly equipped to talk to somebody else about theirs. And so the more I unpacked my, my own life and my own repeating patterns, I was starting to realize just how ingrained my toxic cycles with other people had become in my life. I came from a very difficult childhood. There was a very difficult family situation that I'm still navigating at 38 years old. Um, but as I started to recognize my own patterns, I started to recognize the patterns of the people around me. And those patterns, I think that a lot of when we think about the feminine and honoring the feminine and stepping into the feminine in the new age, that there's a lot of dismantling of the patriarchy that we have to do. And I think that we're in a moment in time where we get to decide like what we take with us and what we leave behind. And um, I think one of those things, the patriarchy is not just something that men are perpetuating. We as women are also upholding these structures and playing into these roles of the patriarchy. And I think a big role and a big way that we see this within relationships with other women is when we look at the people that are our support system, our friendships, our peers, our coworkers, and we look at them as competition. I think it's very dangerous as a woman to start comparing yourself to another person's life, because the truth is we never really know what goes on behind closed doors. And um, I found myself in a moment where I really was looking for the support of the women that I had rallied behind for such a long time, and realized that it was not only was it crickets, but it was stirring up issues. Like there was just kind of issues coming out of nowhere, and women that I had treated very well, were not treating me very well. And essentially, as I unpacked my own stuff, I realized that, wow, I've been really deep in a cycle of operating within triangulation. And if you're not familiar with triangulation, it can happen in any relationship, with your partner, with your friends, with your family. It's whenever somebody is um, essentially meddling in shared relationships and creating problems and things of that nature in these relationships. And as I've gotten older, I have been speaking up for myself more. And if you've ever been in a big group of women before, and you recognize the dynamic of where, well, this one's going over here and saying this about her, and then she's going over there and saying this about that one, and then they're telling each other about what that one said about this one. And it's like I was in this cycle of like trying to fix it, and I would come in as the truth teller and be like, well, look, you told me this, and I agree, but we need to talk about it with her and not each other, because we're not resolving anything. And so that dynamic, as it turns out, it does not work well unless everybody is on the same page. And so I found myself in a situation where I realized that I was being abused mentally. I realized that I was stuck in a pattern with women who I loved, but saw me as their competitor. And so what I chose to do was probably one of the hardest things, which was remove myself from a group of women that was a core group of friends, but also a larger group. That my husband was also in this social group. And as I removed myself, it's been about, say, I'm losing track of years now. That's a good thing. It's been about, I want to say, since 2022, where I removed myself. And it has honestly been the hardest thing that I have ever done. I left. I have been baited to respond and to react, and I have not done that, and it has been such a healing experience for me. Um, because of that, because of leaving, it not only changed my entire social life, but it changed my husband's social life as well. Luckily, he was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's get out of here. Like, this is not for us." Um, but my business, Rebel Venus Astrology, is really based off of my Venus in Aquarius, with Venus represents women and love and pleasure and our values and, our non-negotiables. It is the frequency of love and harmony. And for me to have Venus in Aquarius, there's kind of like a rebel energy that comes with that. Um, People who have Venus in Aquarius they love hard, but they are futuristic in the sense that they can see when something is stunting their growth that they must leave. Um, and that means leaving even when it's very difficult to do so. And I think leaving people who I truly loved all at the same time. I'm also a Pisces, and so I get very attached to the people I love. And so it was a true test of like, can I love myself and trust my own intuition enough to do the very, very hard thing? And when I left, no one tried to stop me. And to this day, I have only been baited into a response, but I have not ever had anyone apologize um, or reach out in any way. And through this entire process, it was me really learning to honor my intuition, to honor that when something is being done to me or something is not right or I am being treated as less than, that it does not serve me or my personal power in any way to accept that kind of behavior. People can make mistakes, but how you rectify that mistake, I think, is what a true mark of friendship is. I think the way you fight with somebody, but disagreements will happen, but the way somebody fights with you will tell you almost everything that you need to know, I think, about that relationship. Um, and so with my business, I can't sit here and tell you I am rolling in the dough, that I am racking up the cash. But what I can tell you is that I am the most healed version of myself, and that I work in a way where I honor my energy levels. Of course, I'm really passionate about what I do, so I kind of just go, 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 go because it's driven by a true passion. But um, being able to be my own leader is worth its weight in gold. Being able to not be told what to do by somebody else um, is one of the most empowering experiences of my entire life, because throughout all of this, I have learned that I got myself every single time. Like, I never let myself down when I truly follow um, my emotions, my intuition, my energy levels, what feels good and what feels right for me. And astrology for me has also been one of the most powerful activators, um, because it taught me so much about myself. And I think, lastly, just to kind of conclude this long monologue, which I have no idea how long I've been speaking for, by the way. So I'm sorry if um, one thing I just wanted to add about this new paradigm and honoring our feminine energy. I think that um, honoring the feminine is allowing ourselves to feel divine and righteous rage. Um, we're allowed to be angry about the parts of the world that we are not happy with. We are allowed to be angry about genocide and about women and children being targeted. We are allowed to be angry about laws that try to keep women small. And all this to be said, I believe that we are seeing all of this because women are rising. We are connecting with our power. And when you have a whole population of people who are rising, there will always be energies that try and stop you. But I do believe we're in a space now where people are more awakened than ever. And yeah, I think that moving forward, we cannot go back, and we will not go back, and we will um, keep connecting more and more to our strength. So that is my spiel, and I really appreciate everyone listening, and I hope it was relatable. And yeah, um, I offer a whole array of astrology readings, and so if you're ever looking for a free consultation, you can email me. We can set up a time, and we can talk about what you're looking for.
Yes, thank you so much. That was so powerful. I think your link and your socials are in the message thread, but if not, definitely add them to that. I want to just say there is a woman, to what you were saying about like the whole frenemy thing, and like having people in your life that try to put you in different directions. There's a woman named Lori Harder. She's actually from my neck of the woods. She just posted something I found to be so relatable, and it's like directly connected to what you're saying. And basically, what she was talking about was the fact that at one point in her life, she felt that um, she was so pissed that everybody was trying to take her down. Everybody was blocking her on her path. She had this big vision for her life. She wanted to do these things, and she felt like the people in her life were keeping her from doing that somehow. And then she said she woke up one day and realized that it was actually just that she was tolerating it. And I think that like there's a big piece there, like how much are we actually tolerating in our life? When it comes to how we want to grow and how we want to expand in the way that we want to show up in the world. And your explanation there was so powerful about having to really cut those ties and clean up the energetic space and remove yourself from relationships that were 12, 15, 20 years long. You're talking childhood friendships right there. All because they were pulling you into unnecessary drama while you were trying to create a new life, a new vision for who you are. And it's amazing that your husband was like supportive of that, because like we need that beautiful male support. So yes, thank you so much for sharing. I found that extremely relatable, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, so we get to move on to our next speaker, and then we're doing a little giveaway. I hope everyone's feeling good in this energy and really taking things from this. Is really my deepest wish. So our next speaker is a very special woman. Her name is Jennifer Shira Raw. I met her many years ago, or very early on my spiritual journey. She is the frequency holder of an online temple space called Light Priestess Temple. And the topic today that she's going to be speaking on is the new feminine frequency. Trust your voice to become the channel. Jennifer is so special to me. And she is embodied light code activator. She's a divine channel, a coach who has guided over 7,150 people worldwide into their highest purpose. Okay, that's not nothing. A former founder of a seven-figure global fashion brand, she walked away to answer her soul's call, devoting her life to awakening the soul codes of visionary women and leaders so that they can embody their truth, power, and divine legacy. Through her global brand, Light Priestess Temple, Jennifer offers one-on-one mentorships, light code activations, new earth leadership trainings, and sacred site pilgrimages, which I've been on many times. All to activating humanity's new light codes and ushering in the new golden age. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, oh, Jen, thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you, everyone here. And thank you, Emily, for sharing your story. I was just like, oh, that happened to me too. Oh, and thank you for putting voice to it. And I just want to see, I'm going to put on gallery just for a moment. I want to just kind of connect. And beloved Marielle, Debbie, Isabel, I'd love to have your videos on. And Nancy, welcome. And I see some familiar names and some new ones. And I just want to connect with everyone. And unmute. Okay. And welcome everyone. And thank you, Jen, for those beautiful words. What what my bio doesn't tell you, and what you may not know about me, is how terrified and how much I dreaded the thought of speaking in public, especially in a circle of women where where I knew I had to speak my truth, my wisdoms, and my essence, right? When we circle with women. How many of you ever felt that way? Like, I can speak to my friend, but no, like not where I'm going to be looked at, not where I'm going to be visible, be seen and be heard. How many kind of resonate with that? Like that fear, like a little bit of like being comfortable. Yeah, well, me too. And it was 2019, early 2019, and I had walked away from my clothing business into the unknown. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I was being called somewhere else, and I was finding my path. And as I talk, I'd love if something lands. I love feedback. So just really make friends with the chat, because I love watching the chat. I'm a Libra, so I love connecting, and I have a lot of air signs, so I have my feet on the ground. I need to ground, but I love getting feedback. I love when something lands. So we're doing this together. So we're gonna have a dialogue. And I'm just gonna share a little bit about how I got started. And I was living in Sebastopol, California, and I felt that call, like this call to gather women. It came from a deep place within me, and yet I didn't know how to do it. I had read the book, The Millionth Circle, and I got so inspired by that book. I'm like, I'm gonna gather a circle. And I put the flyers up. Sebastopol was a flyer town. How many, like, you see the flyers at the coffee house or like around town? That was me. I put my flyers up, and then we got to like 5 days to the circle, and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Why did I put those flyers up? I am terrified. I had a pit in my stomach. I have one even right now. I think there's part that never goes away. And have you ever had that moment? You're just like, ah, like that heaviness. I remember sitting on the couch in my house that I was renting, and I was sweating thinking about it. And I kind of sweated through onto the leather couch, and the anxiety in my body and the dread. I'm like, why? I don't need to be doing this. Why did I put that flyer up? Because now I have to show up. I have to be seen. And 2 days to go. One day, it just got heavier. It was just like such a heavy thing, this gigantic circle that I had created. And I showed up. It was at the Diana Center in Sevastopol. It had beautiful vaulted ceilings. I wanted a beautiful space. And I opened the circle, a few women came, and this woman leans in, and she must have been from Brooklyn. And she leans in and she says, Lita, we can't hear you, like super loud. It reverberated through the whole room. And I got shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, shocked. I was embarrassed. She was like calling me out. And as I looked down, I was reading my notes like this. Yeah, and like I thought I was speaking normally. The fear of being seen was my body, my system literally was trying to collapse. And she called me out in that moment. And I was so embarrassed. And, I wanted to have it all together. I had no, of course I had notes. I didn't trust my voice. Like, I'm not gonna like go into some circle, my first circle ever, and just, yeah, I'm wonderful. I'm magnetic. No. I had notes, I had bullet points, I was ready to go, and I read it. And I read it in a whisper. And in that moment, I knew something had to change. I can't have this fear. I had some scars, these wounds, these ancient wounds that were in my body that I didn't understand. I could run a clothing business, tell anyone what to do, but a circle? Terrified. How many of you have been a little terrified when you've done your first event or your first speaking or, yeah, right, Danny? Oh, Danny. She's like the voice queen. So I know we go through it, right? So I turned my shame and my embarrassment into the source of my power. I made a choice in that day and I committed to searching out. It took years to searching out the best speakers, the voice activators, vocal liberation, how to move an audience with transformational speaking, how to become magnetic, how to open up my presence. I didn't know how to do any of that. I was a clothing designer. I sat behind the desk. Yeah, I had a 7-figure business. I put the models in the catalog. I gave away my power to my partner. He, told me that I'm nothing without him. Yeah, okay, I tolerated that. You're talking about tolerated. I tolerated being told that. I couldn't believe when I heard it from him, but I didn't have him leave my life. I gave away my power. And so all I knew was to hide and give away my power, but I was really good at design. And so that helped me create that 7-figure brand. And I work really hard. How many of you have given away your power? How many of you are giving away your power right now? Because your voice is the key and access is your soul. And when you turn on your voice and you step into your truth, you activate not only yourself, you activate your community, your family, and the world with your gifts because only you are given your mission. And so when I went on a search for the best in the world and I started getting coached by speakers and well-known famous names that are like who I watched, and they teach you how to create and to speak and to transform others. I had my notebook out and I took notes and it was crunchy. And they're like, yeah, you practice and then you stand in front of us and do it for us. And then, no, I'm not perfect yet. And they're like, you don't have to be perfect. Your messiness, share your transformation, share my messiness. I need to be glossy. I need to have it all together. No, I learned you don't. Your voice and trusting your voice and trusting your highest creative ideas and your intuition is what makes you who you are and shares your deepest gifts. And how many of you, what's your vision for what your sacred work will do in the world? What's your vision? Post in the chat. What is your vision for your gifts, like how you want to share your gifts. Do you want to share them in a bigger way? Do you want to be on like a TED Talk? Do you want to be on global stages? Do you want to open a retreat center? Like, what is like your next step? What is that dream that maybe you think, oh, it's way out there? Post it in the chat. I'd love to see, like, what is your, like, let's dream now. What is your something you're wanting to share? Your gifts, your wisdoms, your talents, your sacred work, and like post in the chat. I want to see. I'm gonna scroll down to the spoken like a true Libra. Yeah, I'm Sag rising, so don't get confused. Like I'm Libra sun and moon, and Sag rising is all fire. Let me tell you, Sag rising in 5th grade on the school field, nah, the girls don't really like that very much. So, so what? Okay, so I want to see Sag moon. I envision Angelina. I envision using my gifts to help other people realize their own higher potentials and implement tools, strategies to help them explore it. Okay, I love that. Cheryl, yes, I came out of the closet 4 years ago and I did a healing circle in light language and thought what did I just do? I thought, who am I to do this? It turned out fabulous, less giving away my power. I know, right? You do your first circle and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And so I love this, Cheryl, to heal, to activate others, bringing it all back to liberation, vibration to love. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing, Lisa. I want 50 clients a month and being on stage in front of 1,000 people. I'm also very much an introvert. I love that. You're really pushing yourself because your spiritual path, guess what? You chose your spiritual path because it shows you. You're going to choose the most confronting, resistance creating path. Clothing designer, happy place. Sketching by myself, happy place. Speaking here in front of people and my truths and my messiness, no, zero interest in that. Complete fear, complete panic. And yet I learned how to turn my shame and embarrassment in the source of my power because I tuned into my intuition and my truth. Because my why is so big, I can jump over my fear. Because your dreams, to get to your dreams through the fear, is because your dreams are bigger and your why is bigger. It's knowing what your why is, what your dreams are. Debbie, I'm an introvert, but being drawn to lead and working toward learning to speak my truth. I want to lead much larger groups of healing. Okay. And then with all those great things, Lori, my dream is so big, there are no words to express it. I love that. Visionary women and leaders that are here today. And then what is something that's holding you back? So you have this dream, written in your journal. Maybe I'm big on sticky notes on my mirror, old school auto suggestion. And what's holding you back? Post in the chat. I'd love to hear. Because there was a time when your wisdoms and truth, you were oppressed, persecuted, and maybe even lost your life, wasn't there? And these are some scars that I shared about in my body. But to stay invisible and stay unseen kept us safe, didn't it? Kept you safe. Just breathe into that. And now it's 2025. And it's okay to speak our truth, isn't it? Yeah, there's some people on the internet that, want to say mean things, but it's pretty much safe to speak our truth now. But our body's like, no, it's not. Emily, I think visibility is also something that scares me, yeah. Because only for 4,000 years we were persecuted and oppressed, the wise women, the oracle, the priestess. And this is who you are. And now your wisdoms are bubbling up and you're excited and you're passionate. And it's like, no. Let's temper that down a little bit, because that means I'm going to have to go on a TED Talk. That means if I want to talk to 1,000 women, like one of the beautiful visionaries is sharing, then that means I'm going to have to be on a bigger stage and there's more people going to see me. And it's not safe. How do you finally feel safe to be in your body, to share your wisdoms, your truths, and to step into the visionary and the leader and the creatrix of the new earth that you know you are, this new paradigm, the old paradigm of hustle and burnout and pushing yourself to exhaustion. How many how many know that? The masculine paradigm that Emily was sharing about. Yeah, I did too. I can outwork anybody. And that was one of my like pillars, like I'm just going to outwork you. And I'm just going to do it in a competitive way. And now it's like we do it together and we build community, and it's horizontal leadership. And I had to relearn and trust. I can trust women. Because how many of you, sometimes sister wounds have been pretty deep? Jealousy, betrayal. And now the new paradigm is magnetic. It's your presence, it's who you are, and it's horizontal leadership. We walk together, building community. And I just invite you, we're just going to put our heads back on our shoulders, because some of us, we have some karmic lines of some demarcation that happened. So I just invite you to take your hands, I'm going to put into the gallery so we can just do this together. And just smooth on your neck. If there's any demarcation line where the head did get removed, we're going to bring our head back onto our shoulders. Just with some breath and just smoothing, and bring your head back onto your shoulder. Aligning that you are one, that you don't, nothing is separated anymore, and that you're not feeling like you're disconnected, but you're feeling connected. Feet on the ground, you can stand in your presence, you can feel the sisters here and the love in this room, in this high activated container of light. And whatever's been holding you back, then now it's no longer your responsibility to carry that anymore. And you can let that go. Samsung sharing, it's so hard to connect to self and soften when I'm a mom of 2 little boys. As soon as I'm there, I have to tell and be and snap into discipline and masculine roles. Yeah, it's, beloved, give yourself that time. Carve out selfish time. Be a self-centered woman for part of your day to deepen into your intuition and your voice so you can be the mom you want to be, versus the, oh, I can't do it, and then the self-sacrifice, and guess what? Turns into resentment and a very angry mother. And so I just invite you, all of you beloveds, is to step into that. And the 4 pathways to activate your light is 1, be in a high activated container of light, like we are today in Jen's summit, this new paradigm way of gathering. And you don't do it one time, like, oh, I was in an activated container of light, great, did it once, not 2 times. It's a lifestyle. This is what activates your highest codes, because your codes hold your wisdoms and your knowledge and all of your incarnations, and they're stored within your body in higher frequencies. And as you step into higher frequencies of light and higher activated containers of light, this is what we do at Light Priestess Temple, you step into your highest frequency and your soul codes turn on. How many of you have just like felt like you start singing, or a new knowing comes in, or a new ability, it just drops in? How many? That's your soul codes activating, because you were in a higher frequency container of light. And the women in my community, and I saw Jen like just, I mean, expand into not sharing, cap down, resisting a little bit to like this radiant, like dynamic human design reader, standing in her power, sharing her truth, like her metamorphosis before my eyes, and who she is now, and who she always was. This is what happens when you step into your codes. And then the second thing is to visit sacred sites. This collapse. How many want to collapse time and just get to your highest timeline, sacred sites, because you left codes for yourself? And to step onto that. And the third thing is one-on-one mentorship. How many of you are empaths and you're just giving out, giving, and nothing is filling your cup? I did that too in my clothing business. I didn't have coaching. I didn't know how to do that. Now I have coaches, I have masterminds. I've been spending over 5 figures on many of my coaches each, because I'm filling my cup, learning world-class things, and then sharing it with my community. And I create a circle of I'm receiving, I'm fuller, mama's happy, and so mama can give more. And I'm not depleted and worn out. I kind of did that at the beginning of my spiritual path. I just worked and did it on my own and like thought I could do the same way of working, and it didn't work. And the fourth thing is, so third is mentorship, one-on-one mentorship. Fourth thing is community, like we're here today. Because priestesses didn't anoint themselves, they walk with other sisters, like-minded gladiator S's that are walking their path, stepping into where you can be held and seen. How many of your birth family and maybe your circle of friends don't really quite understand your spiritual path fully, and maybe you can't go to them? Your spiritual community is your family, I really feel. And you fall in love with each other, and this is who supports you, holds you in your path. And your voice is a source of your power. Your voice is your access key to your soul. And like when you speak your name and when you hum, your voice is designed to balance your nervous system, to put your cells into homeostasis, and to bring you into balance. And so activating your intuition and your highest creative ideas and honoring them and stepping into your power with the 4 pathways, being in high activated containers of light, go to sacred sites, have mentorship, and be in community. And that's what we're doing today. And then you don't feel so alone. How many of you feel seen right now? Like, okay, like, raise your hands. Yeah. Is it the UF? THOEF? I love that. It's different and unique. With Pluto and Aquarius, community is a big theme. Yeah, well, Pluto blows everything up. So, and wherever it is in your Aquarius chart has blown up. Pluto was in Capricorn in mine, blew up my clothing business. I mean, everything in the Capricornian blew up, and now it's Aquarius. So I just invite you to step into that. And this is what I'm going to be teaching. And Jen said it's okay. I'm just going to be mentioning one thing that's coming up is this is what I'm going to be teaching and activating this your voice. And if you received anything and you felt kind of an opening or a me too, I'm going to be teaching and activating this deeper in prowess, embodied activation training. This is about unlocking your voice, power, and confidence, and open and become the channel. And we begin August 23rd. And this is about activating the visionary feminine leaders, the new paradigm, activating your voice, your power, your confidence, so you step into who you truly are. And you'll be learning how to create your magnetic story, your through line, your brand message, on top of activating your voice with Hathor and Sekhmet, your light language, your song, being with like-minded sisters. You're going to then also, I'm going to give you the tools so that you can then create a pathway for your ideal buyers and an audience to walk with you and to be abundant. It's not about being a broke leader of the new earth. It's about being 6-7 figure priestesses, right? Like, I'm like, we're going to change that. It's like organic wealth. You hold the codes. It's not professional athletes and salesmen. They're the top 2 earners in this planet. Priestesses hold the codes. And so I think the priestesses should be those top earners. So I really want to, it comes down to your voice. And so I invite you to join me. And I'll just put the link in the chat. And I just thank you and honor you for being the creator, way shower, and leader of the new golden age that you truly are, and to shine your light and share your gifts and open the new golden age together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. You are so dynamic. And I feel like one thing you didn't even mention, but it's so like carried me through watching you all of these years, is you're so resilient. Like you're so resilient. You just keep going. It's like you have your eye on your North Star and you're like, okay, nothing's stopping me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going on my path regardless. And so that's been extremely inspiring to me. And yeah, I mean, Jennifer knows I was not the easiest initiate. Okay. When she says hood on, I'm big time. Like I was like baseball cap in the corner, like I'm here but not here. Like I was like a self-hating priestess big time. But it was only because I was scared. My entire life was falling apart. But I was being called to go to Egypt, go to Greece, go to all these sacred pilgrimages sites, which I went to all with Jennifer. And it changed my life, but what I want to say is that it's not easy, like it's not always easy. It seems like it's this thing, but it seems like, oh, we see each other doing things on IG and all this stuff, but it's not. It's not the easiest thing. We're creating something in the new earth that has not existed for maybe thousands of years, recreating these path lines and these new frequencies and activating it in this time and space. So she's been such a light in all the ways. Like I've been able to watch her and just say, okay, like it's real, it can happen. just keep building, keep connecting with sisters, keep building this community, and all of those. I think you named it like as the 4 pillars. It's so interesting you said that because I thrive off of that. Like every single one that you said, like you hit on. I think it was sisterhood, sacred sites, 2 other things, community. Like all of those things are like non-negotiables for me in my life. I'm like, no, I have to go and do this. So yes, just thank you so much for coming on, sharing prowess. I'm super excited for all you're creating. And you go to Bali like in 48 hours, I think.
I leave now. Yeah, I leave. Well, I leave in a few days. Yeah, for the New Eden Rising. We're going to grid the new or Eden codes into the waters of Bali. Yeah, and I lived there. That's where we met. I was in Bali. And so, sisters, I want to get to know you. Reach out to me. Send me an email. I'll send you the notes from today, and just let's connect and let's connect our universes together. And Jen, thank you so much and for the radiance that you are. And I remember in the one of the buses, I think it was in Greece, and you were like, "Yeah, let me tell." You were talking to a sister, like, "Yeah, let me tell you how great human design is," and you were telling her all about it. And like, look at that's your passion, and that's your gift to the world, and it's like seeing it grow from a bud to like the lotus blooming. And and the gift and the leader that you are, and you always have been. And I just honor that. And I'm just like so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
That was so good. So good. So I feel like that's a good segue to let's get these giveaways going because these are my favorite things. It's funny in human design, I actually have the 34 to 20, and I also have a lot of like I just have a lot of tribal energy, so it feels good to me to give. So as you like as some people are like, oh, you're just like always giving things. I'm like, yes, and I love it. It makes me feel so good to give things. So we have an amazing giveaway, and one of my favorite things in the world, who knows Magic of Eye journals? Like, do you all know about this? Like leather, like it's like the moon one. It's the good, good, good. So anyway, I can't live without these. So I'm like, I want to gift this to one of my sisters, anybody showing up here in this space. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. And I just want to gift this out. So our beautiful Summit Tech Goddess, Heather, has been in the background holding it down. Thank you, sister. And she has lovingly put all of your names in this beautiful spinny thing. And she's created this. And so we get to spin and see like who gets a journal. And we hadn't done this before. So let's see how this goes. Um, and yeah, I can see like part of the wheel. Yeah. Oh, Catherine. So, Catherine, please send Heather your shipping information, Catherine. Please send Heather, she's in the chat, your address, like where you would like us to send this. It's a good one too. The one that this one is, I didn't open it because I'm going to use this box to send it to you. But the one that this one is the A5 Origins Journal. It's Moon Loop. So it basically has a like sick ass like golden moon like on the front cover, and it's like intertwined into like a loop. But it's believe me, it's amazing. So this is yours. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your beautiful energy within this space. If you have any questions on how to find Heather, just let me know. But yeah, Catherine, you are the winner of this beautiful gift. So claim it, girlfriend. And now we get to shift to the next speaker, which I promised you all, like these speakers are going to be dynamic. They're going to shift you in some way, shape, or form. These are the people who help me literally collapse time and space and help me to create like a life that I love. And so I want to be able to do that. It's part of my design, actually. Part of my cross of incarnation is to help people biohack things and get them where they need to be quickly. So it's part of what I'm always going to do. So this is my first summit, but I'm going to be doing this like all the time. Probably going to do like women's events and stuff in the future because my whole shit is like I want to elevate you all. I want to give you everything I can to like get you where you want to be quickly. So that's literally my design. So this next speaker I'm very excited about, Claudia Spar. I hope I said your last name right, but I know her online as Holy Mama. So I've been connected to Claudia for some time now, like for years and years, just watching her growth online and everything she's been able to do within her beautiful business. Claudia is do we have her in the space? Just want to make sure that we do. So Claudia,
Yes, I'm here. I'm just setting up. I'm here. I'm here. I'm just
beautiful.
setting up my camera.
Beautiful. Okay, so Claudia is her topic today is very unique, and I want you all to like pay attention because we got this, girls. Like, this is something we all kind of struggle with, I noticed, and I'm not I'm not saying that to be rude, but I'm just saying like I feel like as women who are like basically mystics, healers, empaths, we kind of struggle with like the tech thing. Like we struggle with like yes, Nancy's like Aho sister. So we struggle with telling our stories online. We struggle, like, I'm not putting this on you, I'm talking about me, but also what I see. And I also noticed that some of the most profound women that I've ever met in my life do not know how, like, doesn't know how to present themselves online, me being one of them. I really don't know like how to I post things, but I'm like, does that matter? Like what, like how, you know? So this woman though has nailed it. Her name is Claudia Spar, like I mentioned. Her business is Holy Mama. She is the topic that she's talking about today is story high, selling high ticket by turning your body of work into a living narrative. So, Claudia is a former broadcast journalist turned award winning entrepreneur, international retreat pioneer, and founder of Holy Mama. She has built multiple seven figure wellness businesses from her laptop while raising three children. Woo! And now mentors high impact new paradigm leaders to amplify their visibility and wealth through precision, energetics, and messaging, blending strategic. Okay, so clarity and oracular insight. Claudia guides visionaries to lead world changing movements with confidence and purpose. So much of her work is really embodied in doing her, it's all of her work is embodied in doing her soul work successfully. And to Jennifer's point, we're not here to be struggling. Okay, like why is it that like the everybody who's earning are like I think she said basketball players and like something else. It should be us. Like we're the ones who know how to navigate this world forward. Sorry. Yes, unapologetic for that. So without further ado, Claudia, thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. What a interesting moment that I have picked to try and get to you. I've got to do that. I'm in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Behind me, my home ancestral city. Is the volume okay? Can you hear me okay?
I can
Okay.
hear you perfectly.
And I've brought a little light
Um,
with I have to show you this quickly because this is real life, right? Because I'm here to talk about storytelling, and thank you for the beautiful intro, Jen, sorry, and all of you here. I can't wait to listen to the replay. I had to find a quiet spot, and I found it here. So I just want to show you behind me here. So I've got tech, right? This is all I needed. We used to have to bring a massive ring light. Now the lighting is not ideal, but it works, and you can see me. And even though I am well into my 50s, I'm also here to say to all women, it doesn't matter what age you are. And as you know, or some of you may know, I have my children in my 40s, all three of them. I waited till 40 and then I went one after the other because a woman's fertility should not be dictated by our culture, our society, our government, our health, whatever, sick care system. And it's in your hands. Obviously, I'm at an age now where I'm not going to have more children, and there's a limit to how long we menstruate. But anyway, I just thought I would tell you that also because in a way, I have come on a bicycle into town, cycled about an hour. It can take about half an hour usually. And this is what I used to do when I was 18. And I was like, wow, isn't it incredible to be back here? This is where I was living from 15 to 20. This is the city of Basel. If you can see it behind me, you've got the chemical pharmaceutical industry, Novartis, and all of the Ciba-Geigy, all the big companies that have their drugs all over the world. So in a way, it's a very rich city and it has a lot of culture. And what I wanted to come on and talk about, and I wish I'd have heard the other speakers because I really like to be able to hook into what everybody has said. But I am a 5-1. I am human design, yeah, sacral. I'm here as I often say I am here to stabilize frequency, and I do that in different ways. So I like to, when I'm online, you mentioned about, mastering the language of media, and I used to be in the media. So it's something that I feel like we all need to know how to use it and to message in a way that feels authentic to you, but is still clear to others. So the clearer that you're able to translate your message, the easier it is for those that are looking for that kind of frequency stabilization to find you. And that's the same when you're in person. So, obviously retreats are my thing since 20 years, before they became fashionable. And that is what I have seen time and time again, how we heal in community, whether it's in this online space like this, or where we're in person in Bali or Ibiza. And I've just come from, the reason why I'm not sitting at my desk today is that I didn't realize the summit was Saturday. I thought it was Sunday, and I had agreed to come in to meet some friends. And I was like, I'm still going to meet the friends. My life isn't going to change. I can't just be businesswoman 24/7. So I feel that's really important for us as women, right? That we're able to make our business fit around our life. And that's the beauty of the online thing. I'm constantly on the road. Like, I know some of you here are as well. So yeah, in terms of storytelling, would you like to ask any question, Jen? Because I just kind of brought together a whole bunch of things. What would you most like to know? Because being a sacral generator, it's good for me to respond. I do have some notes and I can just talk, but I'm happy for you to ask me any questions.
Okay, first and foremost, your IG, like you telling your story, even me sending you the promotional assets for this summit, you were able to put together the most beautiful like template of stories just like on your thing to kind of speak to the summit. And I wonder when it comes to I know that your topic is story high, sell high ticket by turning your body of work into a living narrative. But how do you do that? Like when what do you feel? Because you've been doing this for so long, and I know people really know you for retreats and being the retreat CEO. But in terms of getting your story across to other people, what do you think is like a non-negotiable?
Mm. Just really living your life, like really looking at like making a movie out of your life. And sometimes the movie has really dark moments, right? And sometimes the movie's really emotionally charged. Like right now, I've been staying with my parents for the last week, and there's so much intensity, as you know, where they say that how much inner work you've done when you go and spend some time with your parents and you see all the patterns, and then you try and do some pattern interrupt, and then you try and stabilize, and then your mum's like crying, and then your dad's complaining about your mum. Anyway, I'm not going to go there, but literally everything can be used, like when you cook. When you One of my favorite things is leftovers, using leftovers to create new meals, and every ingredient is important, and you get to like it's savoring the moment, right? So when you look at your life, like it's the you are writing the script of your life anyway. We all, we're the producer, the director, the actor in your own play, and all of this really doesn't exist. I just created this. I created the scene, the Rhine River flowing. This is all my imagination. So this is like, if we understand, and I just heard something really interesting, that I was having a conversation with a friend who's a real physicist, and I'm much more of a mystic. And I do hypnosis as well, and past life regression work sometimes with clients. And we were talking about reincarnation. He said, well, if you think about it, you have every single human being, your molecules have been in other people. So you are everybody. And I was like, that so explains reincarnation. And it so explains human design, and it explains the design crystal and the personality crystal. And it's very shamanic. So I said to him, well, is it because we are the air that everyone breathes. We are the water that has been everywhere, or has, and he said, well, there's limited water on the planet. So if you think about it, this river flowing behind me here, it has people from the Middle Ages in it. I drink from that water, right? So of course I'm going to have a past life regression, and I'm going to end up in the Middle Ages, and there's going to be some witch burning, or there's going to be this or that. These are all stories. So that's the narrative. We are storytellers. We were in the cave sitting around fires telling stories. That's how we've evolved. So human nature is storytelling, and AI is not going to, in fact, AI can't do that. We are the creators. And AI, I'm going to give a reframe of AI. AI is actually just the meta of all the information that's out there. That's all it is. We sometimes make it into this really scary thing, and we control that. So anyway, I went off tangent a little bit, but hopefully that we are storytellers by nature. So it's just tapping into, a bit like they say, you are God, right? You have everything you need inside of you. You are the story. So it's really feeling that you are here to tell your story and to live your story, more importantly.
Yes, I believe that to be true, because sometimes when we look on IG and we see what everyone else is doing, or we look online and we see what everyone else is doing, we think, is that me? Like, am I supposed to be doing that? But what you just described is tapping into your own narrative and tapping into your own story of the life that you're manifesting literally second by second. So I so resonate with that, and that definitely helps, because I do wonder about it. I'm like, what am I supposed to be putting out into the world? But by tapping into my own individual story, I'll find those pieces.
Yes, exactly. And this is where human design is so amazing, because you're going on a discovery, on a mystery. It's like a mystery tour of your inner landscape, and it doesn't get smaller; it expands. It's a bit like when you go out into outer space, right? It just opens up. So this is why the more you know yourself, the more you expand, the deeper you go. It's like literally like you're going into the womb, into the darkest spot where everything opens up and creation is birthed. So how is that tangibly translated into everyday Instagram stories? Just start somewhere. And so what I do is I always know where I want to lead people. This is a bit like when you get on a train. If I was wanting to go to Paris now, there's actually a night train to Paris. I'm not going to get on it, but you never know. Now, I would know I need to get the train that says Paris on the front, not the one that says London. Otherwise, I'll end up in London. So when you do a sequence, I would say 5 story slides max. Sometimes you can do that trick where you can let the story run out and then you just post one and then push it out to more people. If you want something to be like, now I've just posted this is happening now. And then you take people where you want to go. So if you're like, okay, now I want to talk about my in-person, I've got one spot, but I'm sitting here having an ice cream. How do I bring those two together? And that's an art form, right? It's not just ice cream. Oh, come and have an ice cream with me. Although that could be a journey, but I would say take people there. And we know that polls work quite well, because most people are, I guess the majority are generators. A lot of people are responders. And it also helps boost engagement. So I just wanted to give you something practical, so it's not all mystical, esoteric, shamanic.
And we so value that. Heather actually put Claudia's Instagram in the message thread. I highly recommend giving her a follow and checking out her feed. I find it very inspiring. What I love most about what she does, weaving in her soul business to her sacred storytelling, is that she posts from the place of presence. So it's like you can actually tell that, like, when she is posting, she's not actually doing it from the moment. She's posting from the past, but it's her lived experience. And so she's present in her life, and she's not, frantically posting or anything like that. So I really find it inspiring. Have a look. She has many offerings, and I think you actually had a freebie that we linked, or we will link. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's the retreat vortex. Yes. So go ahead and check that out. And thank you so much. I mean, she actually thought again that it was tomorrow. So she popped on last minute. So we so value you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, everyone. I will watch the replay because there's some amazing women here, and I'd love to hear everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and yeah, and I'll see you all online. Definitely send me a message if you follow me, or I'll follow you back because I'm very, like you said, presence. I'm very in the. It's like you have strategy, but I'm like totally heart led. So I'm not on any golden pavement right now, actually.
Amazing. Yes, all of her IG and everything else is in the chat, so definitely click. It's very inspiring. It kind of will give you a little bit of forward momentum on the online space because the thing is we don't want to live there. Like that's not feminine. Like it's like we want to be present in our life and be anchored into that presence and then have a way of telling our story throughout. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Now I am super excited about the next speaker that I am having on. I love this woman. We met recently and we just kind of like clicked and like we're BFFs now. So that's me and Marielle. So Marielle Loren is of Living Symbolic, and her topic today is divine timing for strategic planning, how to predict your future to plan your business. So Marielle is the queen of divine timing. It is so powerful. She's an executive astrologer who teaches leaders to align with the natural rhythm of life, trusting the perfect moment over the pressure of right now. Using her signature geocosmetic future casting technique, she decodes the invisible energy patterns shaping our planet and your path, offering uncanny accuracy that has astonished everyone from Secret Service agents to trial attorneys. So basically, she's a badass. With her guidance, you'll learn when to act, when to wait, and how to move forward with the pulse of the universe for maximum impact and flow. Marielle, thank you so much for coming on.
Jen, thank you so much for having me. What a joy to be here today with all of these amazing business women. Yeah, I come from a professional background where there weren't a lot of business women. I actually come from the world of high stakes decision making, Wall Street infrastructure investment funds, right? So it's my background was a bunch of middle-aged rich white guys who think that they had all the answers to the universe. So very rarely was it an opportunity to see powerful professional women. And I love, Jen, that you've put something together today for powerful professional women who are also mystics, right? Who are bridging science and strategy and spirituality as a way to open the gates to a new paradigm, as you've said, of how we want to live our lives, how we want to put our work and our passion into the commercial marketplace and build the kind of future that we all want to have. So I know so many of the women today, I've been watching the comments, I've been hearing people as they've spoken, they're already very experienced and knowledgeable with things like astrology, human design, gene keys. So we're in the company of people that know what Mother Nature has started to ingrain in us, and I think are very curious about probably how do you live your everyday life and especially make your business decisions in flow with your internal codes and also kind of what's happening in the cycles of Mother Nature. So that's what we're going to dive into today. Really the most powerful thing that we have is the freedom of choice, right? Our free will. But in order to be super powerful, we have to become better choosers. So in order to become a better chooser, we have to have as much information as we can to direct our decisions in alignment with the destiny we'd like to see happen. But the funny thing is, in order to have the best information, it's not just the things that are obvious or that it's also the things that are invisible or that are unseen that are influencing our decisions. So that's where this world of the invisible mechanics and structure of the universe, like astrology or human design and gene keys, been a lot of talk about that today, can come in as a factor to inform our decision making and make us more powerful choosers and more powerful business people. So a little bit of a background, in my life before I was an entrepreneur, as a little girl, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to be when I was going to grow up. But I always knew that I wanted to be in a position of power. I knew that I wanted to be a businesswoman, and I knew that I wanted to be financially competent. So I grew up and I decided to go to school for those things. And I studied other successful people who did it really well. So I graduated with a business degree in economics and finance. And I did a graduate thesis, actually a global study of women in executive leadership roles around the world. And then I got into consulting for the Wall Street infrastructure investment groups, and usually looking at the deals between $50 to $250 million capital spend. So yeah, when you come from the world of like high stakes decision making, time is actually of the essence. It's very important. And along the way, I began secretly studying this magical thing called astrology. Now, when I first discovered astrology, I was blown away because probably maybe as a kid, I thought it was a bit woo-woo. And then when I actually studied it, I realized it was all math. And I was like, oh, this is cool. So I started using the mathematics of geocosmic cycles, popularly known as astrology, to help predict or future cast when things were going to happen and understanding why things were happening at certain times in my life and in the lives of other people. So in the beginning, I certainly didn't want to tell my colleagues in the infrastructure finance world that I was using astrology to predict deals, negotiations, and understand personnel issues. But over time, I started garnering a reputation for being psychic, and everybody was wondering how the heck I always seemed to know exactly what was going to happen next. So finally, the cat came out of the bag, and I had to fess up to all these guys that I was using astrology. But at that point, the accuracy of my predictions mattered more than any skepticism that they had. So mostly people were won over. And then I started working with a lot of different kinds of clients. And now I help business people just like you find their place in life and know what's going to be coming next based on these cosmic cycles. You know, it's an interesting thing, the idea of working with, we could say maybe the algorithms of the universe, the flow of time, and going, what are the ways that we can apply this to our life? So today, rather than talking about myself a ton, I'm actually going to teach you something. So you may want to take out a piece of paper and something to write with, because we're going to talk about the 4 most important cosmic cycles that you need to know as a businesswoman. Why do I love to talk about this? Well, your astrologer over here, of course, like I said, she's kind of comes from this business background with economics and finance. And I've swam with the sharks. And so I know that this unique ability of leveraging astrology to accurately futurecast trends and opportunities and help amplify our decision making to be in alignment and in flow really works, because it has truly shocked some of the most cutthroat industry executives that I've worked with. I particularly love working with women who are already very successful, but really just want to continue becoming architects of their own destiny, right? So if you've ever kind of wondered, how can I become a professional who's really decisive and always feels like I know my next move, then this is where astrology can become your secret advantage. That's going to help you lead with a lot of clarity and confidence and a feeling of timing being on your side. I know that this approach has worked. I've worked with over 1,100 clients, including a Nike athlete, an Olympian, a host from HGTV's House Hunters, the chief financial officer of a $56 billion Fortune 500 company, a celebrity client honored by Queen Elizabeth, and a Miss Universe candidate, as well as entrepreneurs just like me and you. So basically for today, if we're thinking, what should I be doing next with my life and when should I be doing that, then that's what we're going to dive into. So the question is, how would your life be different, or how would your business be different if you knew the answers to your biggest questions ahead of time? So this is how we get ahead of time. Okay. Take out your pencil and your paper, right? Because the 4 key timelines that every businesswoman needs to know are annual cycles, seasonal cycles, monthly cycles, and daily cycles. And we're going to dive in now into what those are. Okay, so I actually really like to begin with the monthly cycles. aside from, obviously we have a room full of women, so the term monthly cycle can mean a lot of things to the people in the room. But the monthly cycles that you experience in your life, but especially in your business, are illumination and completion, communication and planning, and action and attraction. So your monthly cycles that I want you to be watching are based on the mathematics of the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Again, that's moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. These illumination periods happen every 2 weeks at the new moon and the full moon. And this is where to anticipate either a new beginning in your life or business, or to anticipate a completion or maybe a result. From a sales perspective, I do notice that deals close and sales tend to increase a little bit closer to a full moon because people feel more ready to make decisions. So keep those things in mind when you're talking to a new client or you're doing a launch of some sort with your product and service. The other thing is that these communication and planning periods are governed by the planet Mercury, and they last about 3 weeks. So this is where your connections and contracts are going to be made, and this is where you always want to be planning ahead. Mercury tends to move ahead in the sky unless it's in a retrograde. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. So it's often about putting the mind before where the movement is soon going to happen within the next 3 weeks. And then our action and attraction periods are governed by Venus and Mars, and they last about a month to a month and a half. These are really easy timers because when you're thinking about your monthly planning for your life or your business, tracking that Venus and Mars, just because their natural cycle is ballpark a month, can really help you focus on where you want to prioritize like effort as well as money and relationships. It shows where people are going to be most drawn to you, how customers are going to find you most easily, and in your personal life, where you're going to make the best relationships. Okay. So now let's expand our point of view for a moment past the month and into something that's more of our seasonal cycles. Seasonal, we're thinking like spring, summer, fall, and winter, or in corporate terms, we're thinking like a business quarter. So your seasonal cycles are two things. They're your review periods and your pivot points. Your seasonal cycles are based on the mathematics of retrogrades and eclipses. Now, your review periods come up at various intervals throughout the year when every planet's speed temporarily slows down and appears to fall behind the light of sight of the Earth. The technical term is retrograde. I'm sure we've all heard of that. Many of you have studied it. Certainly, we all see it on social media when it comes up. Relax, it's a totally natural cycle. Actually, every planet goes through retrograde at some point during the year, but the most infamous is which one? Come on, you all know it. It's Mercury retrograde, right? The most infamous is Mercury retrograde because it happens seasonally, meaning 3 to 4 times a year, or basically once per business quarter. This is where people say shit hits the fan, right? Anything that can go wrong will. We might have some technology flops, scheduling conflicts, mishaps, redirections, those kinds of things. I once had a technology client who tried to launch their new software product during a Mercury retrograde review period. I advised them not to, but they wanted to try to do it anyways. And sure enough, the product development took longer than they expected. So they inevitably had to launch at a later date that I suggested would be more favorable because it just wasn't going to happen during the Mercury retrograde. So things like this is, really going, okay, when something's in retrograde, rather than just going, oh no, what if shit's going to hit the fan, being conscious and saying, wait a minute, this is an excellent time to slow down and maybe have some crucial conversations that need to happen. Maybe actually cancel a contract or get out of something that I didn't really want to keep participating in, right? Using that natural energy of like endings and exits to our benefit, because sometimes we need to leave, whether it's leave a job, leave a partnership, can discontinue working with someone, or slow down to rethink a plan that you might have rushed, right? So another seasonal cycle that's pretty infamous in business is the Venus retrograde cycle. This one happens every 18 months. And this is where things like relationships, money, and appearances or presentation can kind of go haywire. I always see romantic breakups, affairs, business partnership scandals, sometimes client drama or financial challenges, or a public image issue, again, going with appearance and image, meaning the way that something looks or is being presented. So, I remember it was interesting during Venus retrograde period, I had one client who ended an engagement because she discovered her fiance was having an affair and also hiding his 6-figure financial debt that he was hoping his mistress was going to pay off for him. So, Venus retrograde periods are actually really good for sizing up the mutual benefit or the give and take in our relationships or our business partnerships, and terminating kind of exchanges that don't really have a payoff. And actually, it can be a great time to leave an old income stream behind. Like if you've been ready to let go of that coaching program or that old product you used to sell because you want to invent something new, you could have like a closing out sale and just kind of walk away from that and let people take one last shot at it. And it can also be a really good time for brainstorming like a business makeover, like a social media facelift, and starting to quietly work on that rebranding behind the scenes before maybe you're ready to showcase it to the world after that retrograde. Now, those pivot points are eclipses. I know most of you are pretty experienced with eclipses. Again, that shows up a lot on social media. And sometimes there's kind of back and forth about whether people are like, is it good or is it bad? But it's based on the intersection of the sun and the moon, and it happens 4 times a year, always within 2 weeks of each other as pairs. This is about the turning of the tables, right? So eclipses are pretty notorious for being either spontaneous miracles or spontaneous mishaps. But the way I like to use it is, how can I turn the tables or create a turning of events in an area of my life where I've either felt stuck or where I'm ready for it to really move in a different direction. So literally think of like, how can I use that energy to turn the tables in the way that I want it to go? Okay. Now, the last thing I want to mention for some annual cycles for you to pop down is these are based on the mathematics of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So you've got your expansion cycle, which is where your life or your business is growing, increasing, or gaining momentum. And when I work with clients in session, this expansion cycle or the Jupiter cycle is actually the first thing I look at every year when I do their planning. Why? Because a Jupiter cycle is 13 months, AKA it's a year, 12 months plus 1. So it's ballpark a year time frame. So when you begin the year and you're going, okay, what should I really focus on this year? What's going to overall in the big picture be worth it for me? Look straight at that expansion cycle with Jupiter, because that's going to tell you what should my overall plan for the year be. And then all of these other little tiny micro cycles help you build it out. The next thing is that maturity cycle with Saturn. That shows you where the universe wants you to grow up by mastering some tough lessons. The awakening cycle with Uranus shows you healthy disruption that might illuminate a space in your life or your business where you could create more freedom or more options. I find that it also really helps us to enliven our unique genius and help us think out of the box. So I kind of like to think of it as creative disruption. The visionary cycle with Neptune. This is great because it shows you where your psychic and spiritual attunement might be increasing that year, and can point to some direction around creativity. So especially when we're trying to leverage woo-woo in the workplace, is I love looking at where that Neptune is transiting for us in the year ahead within our chart or in the chart of the business, because that's where we can kind of get some uncanny information or some things from the other space that we really want to start channeling and speaking about and incorporating in the offering. And then the last thing is the evolution cycle, which is governed by Pluto. And this shows us where the power shift is occurring for you. That's going to create a major sense of inevitable transformation and rebirth. So I know that was a mouthful, but again, I just want you to really have a practical sense of, as this mystical, modern female entrepreneur and business owner who's trying to live her life purpose from the codes that she was born with, but also moving in alignment with Mother Nature's cycles, astrology is this secret weapon that can help you know exactly what to do when. So you're planning your most important moves in a time when there's naturally going to be more flow for you and less resistance. A lot of times the answer to why something doesn't feel right or isn't working out is actually hidden in the divine timing. I can't tell you how often myself and probably you might be thinking questions like, when should I do XYZ, right? Whatever it is. You might be thinking, when is something finally going to happen? Like, my God, I've been trying to succeed at this certain project or approach for a long time. When will it finally take off for me? In some cases, you might be thinking, oh my God, what suddenly went wrong? You know, I thought I was taking all the right steps and now there seems to be a huge pivot. What could possibly be going wrong? Um, and sometimes too, we're faced with these emotions like, why is nothing happening right now in spite of my best efforts? It just feels like my business or my personal life is just dry and there's no momentum and I can't seem to create any activity. Or boom, sometimes we see the mirror or the opposite, which is like, when it rains, it pours. Everything's happening all at once. You know, it's just, I'm growing like a weed. There's stuff going on with the family. It seems like I'm trying to juggle so many things. Why is this, or when is this happening for me? The answer is actually in the cosmic cycles. So, what I would say is, as this businesswoman, really coming into connection with your natural timing in your astrology is so important. You're going to feel more connected to yourself, more connected to the flow of Mother Nature. And it's really going to help you be a better steward of your free will, your decision making power. And in that way, it helps you be a director of destiny because you're not working against it. You're not forcing something. You're just learning how to flow with it. And in that flow, there's always a time for action, for pausing and patience, and that stillness in between. And you'll know for yourself when each of those moments is coming. Because ultimately, if I were to say this very simply, there's a hard truth about life. And the hard truth is this, that no matter what, you are going to do three things. You are going to spend energy, money, and time. Doesn't matter what you do, you're going to spend energy, money, and time. But the question is, are you spending energy, money, and time in the right way? And so if you can leverage this invisible information that's woven into the cosmic web of the universe to help you discern how you want to use your energy, money, and time, you're going to be 10,000 steps ahead and feeling like you're this architect of your destiny. So with that, ladies, I hope this has gotten you excited and also hopeful about accessing information that's really right in front of you, or, you know, we could say right above us, and finding a constructive way to use it in your life and in your business. So if you want to play with me sometime, I'll drop a link here in the chat. I have a workbook about this information, the Wealth by Design workbook. It talks a lot actually about astrology, human design, and gene keys, particularly money mapping in all of those for yourself and your business. And it also does talk about the cosmic cycles. So if our conversation today was fast and you didn't get all the notes, there's the replay. You can definitely check out the workbook. It's going to be in there. And then, of course, anytime, reach out to me on social media, my website, very friendly, love to chat, and certainly would love to help you with some high stakes decisions in a way that feels aligned with your own divine design and divine timing.
Yes. So now you guys know I had to have Marielle on. I mean, when I first met Marielle, I was like, oh my gosh, like who is this divine goddess? But when she opened her mouth and started speaking, I'm like, I think I had like 3 pages of notes, like the first time that I saw her online. And also, if you are, I went ahead and I added her website link in the chat. You will want to sign up for her newsletter. It will not waste your time. Anytime that you jump on anything that she emails you out, your mind will be blown. She will literally say things. I'm like, what? Like, how do you even know that? When I say it's like, information that I don't hear anywhere else. It's next level, and it's also changed my life. Like just being in connection with her, knowing when to do things, having this bird's eye view. She is a projector in human design. Having this bird's eye view, this projected viewpoint on every move that you make in your life, not just business, but personal, it's a game changer. So you will want to connect with her. Check her out. Like I said, the newsletter I think is a non-negotiable. You want to be on those emails because she also sends out a video like every once in a while. And the video, I watch it 4 or 5 times. Like I'm not joking. I will literally listen to it 4 or 5 times because every time I listen to it, I'm like, that's wild. Like this is like a whole pivot of like new information. So thank you, Marielle. Marielle is also a fashion model, so she is off to do a runway right now. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking the time.
Jen, thank you so much. And thank you, ladies. And yeah, the monthly newsletter, it's always a long video that gives you an overview of the cosmic cycles for the month ahead. The one for August is already out. So definitely click the link and you can go check it. It's complimentary every month. You just have to be on the list. I talk about the economy, the money markets, business, as well as love and relationships. So you'll have a sense of what that flow will be. And I do actually, I have to get to a fashion show after this. So
I was so nervous, Marielle. I was like, oh my God, because I know you had the show, but I was so glad we got it. So thank you, sister.
this was perfect. Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Okay, guys, she's a dynamic. You'll want to stay on everything she does. Trust me. So the next thing I want to do, I have another giveaway. So all of the things that I give away, and if you circled with me in my hometown, you know that I love like serving. Like I like always have like a plate of chocolates and grapes and like or everything organic and clean and it's all like beautiful candies that are like homemade luxury blah blah blah. Like I it's part of my design. I know that I do this, but these are my favorite things in my life. These are my like goddess rituals. Okay. So like my magic vibe journal is like my goddess ritual. I literally hold it. There's like a frequency, I swear, within those journals. So that was our first giveaway. Our second giveaway is going to be my favorite fragrance line, which is actually Henry Rose, which is actually Michelle Pfeiffer's line. She sells these like sample sets where you can kind of just like, there's a little sample of each and you can kind of play around and see what you like. So I was at first just going to give away my favorite scent, which is called Dark as Night, but I was like, this is really smoky and woody and people might not be like into it. So I was like, let me just do like a little sample thing to see what you like. And again, these are my goddess rituals. I like spray it on with intent, knowing that it's clean and there's no toxins in it. So it's going into my body and it's nourishing me and it's elevating my spirit. So this next one is going to be let's pull up our magic little spinny thing. It's kind of cheesy, but it's kind of cute. I mean, Heather and I found it the other day. We're like, this will work, this little spinny guy here. And Heather's so amazing putting this image in there. So for everyone live, Henry Rose is coming to your door. If you get this, you will love it and you'll be addicted to her line of clean, non-toxic. Is it Amy? Amia? That's a really beautiful name. How do you say your name? Now I have to have you say. You will love this beautiful fragrance. Please come on. What is your name? Amia, maybe. Okay. Yeah, Tawny said, love her. Love Marielle. Yeah, so I hope I'm saying your name right. Amia. But please send Heather our tech goddess your address. You can private message her, send her your address, please. That way I know where I'm sending these beautiful gifts off. And in honor of time, because I know we're kind of going over now, I want to bring on my goddess bestie, Danny Frederick. What's up, girl? Come on. So Danny and I met because I had her on the podcast. I have a podcast called She's a God. And honestly, the first time I met her, I was like, okay. I'm like, we're like hitting it off, talking. We're like shooting the shit, just like it's like two peas in a pod. It was hilarious. So Danny is so special. She is specific to light language, and she is the light language queen and oracle source oracle. So her topic she will be announcing and a little bit about Danny. And she's like, it will come in the moment. Yes, divine channeler. So Danny Frederick is a divine feminine mystic and spiritual way shower who blends the ancient arts of priestess with modern leadership technologies. She guides women to ground their Sophia Christ-like consciousness, awaken their divine oracular nature, and birth their higher self into form. Known for her balance of depth and play, masculine and feminine, Danny helps others embody their wholeness, the mess, and the majesty with grace, compassion, and love. And this is why I love her so much. Danny, what's up?
Hey, 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 hey. Hello, beautiful goddesses. I just want to shout out everyone who's spoken so far. It's been really beautiful to receive all the codes and everyone who's here attending, who's pollinating, and you're going to go out and bring all of these codes that we've exchanged to your communities. Thank you for being leaders in your communities. And of course, thank you to Jen for putting this together. It takes a ton. It is a ton of work. Summits are a ton of work. So I really want to honor you and thank you for being so flexible with me. Like she said, I was like, you know what? The guides are telling me not to prep. Just put me somewhere near the end and I'll feel into the field and we'll see what we need to chat about. So one of the and they're so great. They've dropped in what we need to chat about. And one of the things I just want to name is um, I think one of the most powerful things I bring is just authenticity. And so I'm going to start with that, which is I just feel so nauseous right now and I have a headache. And I tuned in though this morning and I was like, all right, because I think, these have codes for, a lot of the women mentioned. The whole point, if you're going to go into entrepreneurship and you're going to design your life, it's got to honor your life and your cycles because you're going to have to walk through so many initiations and face every aspect of yourself in order to bring a soul-led business online. And so it was important for me to check in and say, okay, do I need to just hit up Jen and be like, I'm so sorry, but I have to dip out and like honor that I just want to like vomit everywhere right now? Or is it time to get on? And they're like, just get on, you're going to be fine. I'm like, okay, I'm surrendered. And part of, I think, the entrepreneurial journey is just being so surrendered, knowing that we really are in a co-creation. And that's one of the biggest things I've been learning this year. It's just been like thing after thing after thing where I'm like, how am I not getting sick? Like, how am I still living? And God, you might use God, goddess, source, whatever word you want to use for the infinite source that cannot be labeled, is just like, we want to show you this year that you are not the sole creator. That I knew in my mental body that I co-create with God, but they were like, we are going to show you physically embodied that the angels walk with you side by side in your human realm. You're not a translator. You're not a bridge. You are heaven in the world of form, and we are with you. And I've really experienced that. And one thing I want to name, and we've just had so many beautiful women on here in powerhouses talking about strategy, and strategy is so important. And because that's been hit on a lot, I'm going to come from the other angle, because I saw in the chat that there's a lot of visibility wounds, a lot of people like, oh, my voice, and it's scary, and that's all very true. And I think sometimes we can get in this, we're 5D way showers, we're birthing the new paradigm. There's really no example around us. We are the example. We're making the template. And we can get stuck in this thing of thinking like, oh my gosh, I have to know my message. I have to know my demographic. I have to know all these things. Who here has like not taken action because they're like, oh, I don't have the messaging, or I don't have the website, or I don't have the Instagram, or I don't have the this, and I can't do it till then? So I'm just here to say I've never listed my demographic. I've never created a mission statement. I have no fucking clue what my brand is. People are like, I love your brand. I'm like, great. Can you tell me what it is? I'm in my second year of business and I make six figures. So that's going to be inspiring to some. It's going to be triggering to some others because you're going to say, oh, I cannot hide behind that I don't have my message figured out yet. And some of you are going to hear that and be like, that sucks. I'm accountable for taking action now. And others are going to hear that and say, oh, thank God, I was getting so mired down and like I have to do, sales calls and I have to do this and I have to do that, but it's not resonating. And now you can break free. And so I think really what Spirit wants me to bring through here is just to say, strategy is important, but you get to choose from the 3D strategies that have been proven what actually works for you, and then what does not work for you. And then what's what you're downloading to birth and bring through into the world. And I'll give you a really simple example. Something that I heard in every kind of coaching course, like strategy course that I took was like, you have to do market research calls. You have to do market research calls. You have to do market research calls to see what the market wants. And I was like, I don't think I do. Like, God's just going to tell me what to bring through. Like, I'm a priestess, like, I'm an oracle, and I help people. That's just like, what's the market going to tell me? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But I was like, all right, what do I know? I haven't started my business yet. So I'm doing my market research calls. I fucking hate them. They're the worst. I'm like, this is such a waste of my time. That doesn't mean it's a waste of time for your business. They could be very, very helpful for your business. I'm just giving an example here of what I mean. And as soon as I, went through the different types of strategies, and then I decided to throw out what really didn't work for me and just marry, oh, wow, you know what? That strategy, that really made sense for me. And then I'm just going to follow my intuition here. That really kind of catapulted me. And the other thing I want to bring through, and then I'm just going to throw it back to you, Jen, to just ask me a question. I'm also a sacral authority. So if you're just letting me know would be really helpful, especially with where my head is at right now. um, is I wasted so much time um, just being the frequency. So this is the other side of what I'm saying, where, sometimes you hear about people, it's like, you have to do the strategy to a T. And then you hear other people that are like, fuck strategy. I'm just going to be the frequency and heaven's going to fall through the ceiling. So I was stuck in that paradigm for like 2 years where I was just like, okay, I'm praying, I'm visualizing, I'm doing like the Dr. Joe Dispenza, but I wasn't taking action in the world of form. And I was wondering, like, where's my business? Like, where are my clients? Like, I feel like I'm ready. And so one of the archetypes and I see this so much in the spiritual community, is the spiritual teacher archetype is very different than the entrepreneurial archetype. A lot of us, we kind of exit the matrix. We go through a deep healing journey, and then through our healing, our spiritual teacher archetype comes online. And part of that journey of exiting the matrix was kind of doing everything that was opposite of the matrix, right? Instead of do, it was like be still, unwind. So then we get to this point where our spiritual teacher comes online, and it's like, okay, now I feel like my spiritual teacher would like to share, and I would like to be paid for that sharing, and I would like to build the new paradigm. But we kind of think that all of the tools we used on our healing journey are the same thing that's going to bring us clients. And it's not true that just because your spiritual archetype, teacher archetype is here, that your business is here. Because then you need to marry it with the entrepreneurial archetype. Because this is the vessel, your entrepreneurial type archetype is the masculine that allows your spiritual archetype to flow like a river. And so the last thing I'll say here, and I'm probably at time anyways, because I'm fine going a little shorter, Jen, because I know we got to catch up on time. But is wherever you are at, if God is planting the seed in your heart to share, you have everything you need to share at this moment. Just share where you're at and know that failure is part of the recipe for success. It's just about taking action and learning. And when you host your first circle, when you host your first masterclass, or even your 10th masterclass, it's actually not about how much money you make or who even shows up. It's about all the shadows you had to face in yourself to become more of who you are. And there's this great example, and I don't have her name, but I heard this from one of my teachers and it really resonated, is there's some famous yoga teacher who's like worldwide famous. And her first yoga class, no one showed up. Her second yoga class, no one showed up. She did 12 yoga classes where no one showed up. But what did she do? She didn't walk out of the studio. She taught the class. She taught to an empty room. Because what was she doing? She was integrating the codes of the person she was going to become. And she stuck with it. And now she's this world famous yoga teacher. And so I think part of what we can make ourselves another cage just in spiritual wrapping paper if we're just focused on the result. And if we can reprogram and re-perceive our journey as I'm focused on my becoming, the results do come, but it's because you're not necessarily looking at them. You're looking at what is my self mastery in every single moment, and knowing that as a byproduct of self mastery, you cannot not be prosperous, because that is our original nature, to prosper in the light of God, because we are made in his image and likeness. And no, I'm not religious, but I like to use that one. I think it's very apt. So with that, I'm going to pause. I just thank you all so much for receiving me in my mess and my magic. I hope you got a couple of codes. If you did, I'd love to see it in the chat. I'm similar to Jennifer that way. I like to see what's resonating, and I'll just pass it back to you, Jen. So much love to you. I think you're absolutely incredible. I love your style. I love your ferocity. I love your outfits on Instagram, and much love to you all.
Thank you, Danny, so much. Now you all see her energy and her frequency and like why I had to have her on. I think one of the most powerful things you just said there is the example about the story with the yoga woman and really activating the frequency of the codes you are here to be. I do things like that all the time where I know I want to speak on stages, but I've never done a public speaking gig before. So I will literally walk around my house and speak as if I'm on a stage. And I think when you do that sort of thing, it anchors in the reality of what you're calling in, and it puts you into the frequency of who you know you're here to be. So that's really what this energy is about. It's about knowing that like there are things that we want in this world. There are things we are here to become and step fully into. If you can't sleep at night because you feel like, well, mystics have a hard time sleeping at night, period. But if you can't sleep at night and it's like calling you, you just feel like there's something I need to be doing, all you have to do is take action. I had a friend who was stirring in what Danny was talking about for a while, which is that feeling of like something's calling me, but where is it? What is it? What do I do? As long as you take action, everything will start showing itself to you. So I just want to say that, like, if you feel stuck ever in your life, it doesn't even have to be business, in your personal life, in your relationships, anything like that. The only thing you need to do is start taking action. Even if it's a wrong step, you will realize that's not the way. Let's try this. It's only when we stay stuck and we're swirling around in our own mess for all this time that those things can start to really build up, and it can start to feel heavy. It can start to feel like depression, anxiety. Where is it? What is it? What am I supposed to be doing? So don't be afraid to take action. Don't be afraid to step into this frequency that Danny was describing of being the person, the woman who you know you came here to be. I love her and her energy and all that. Every time she goes on IG or does anything, I'm like listening because the frequency of her voice, everything that she does is really, really fantastic. So we have another speaker, Lori Kinsey, who has been pivotal on my journey. I've had women ask me like, "Oh gosh, Jennifer, you show up so authentic and like you're like cool. Like how'd you do all this?" And I'm like, literally the only reason why I'm able to show up the way that I do and be in this, do this kind of stuff, even when I create Sister Circle or do human design classes or readings or anything, I'm able to show up as my authentic self because I've been working with this next woman here, Lori Kinsey, for the last 3.5, 4 years in her practices and in her divine work. She is the founder of Red Lotus Life. Lori her topic today is Beyond Survival, Liberating the Shadow of Resilience. And Lori is an advanced spiral practitioner dedicated to holding safe, powerful spaces for emotional clearing, energetic healing, and radical soul transformation, drawing on her service of work in domestic violence and human trafficking and her own journey as a survivor. Lori supports conscious leaders in breaking through limiting beliefs. Okay, that was a big one for me. Embodying their true legacy and creating lives aligned with their deepest vision. She brings compassion, strength, and deep connection to nature into every space that she holds, guiding others toward profound healing and empowerment. And I back Lori in everything that she does because I would not be able to do what I do without the work that she's done with me. So, Lori, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. This has been such a powerful, powerful space. I have been in here just soaking up all of the magic, all of the energy, everything that's been going on. And I'm so happy for everyone who's been on here since the very beginning. So, um, I always like to, Jen, are there other speakers after this? Is there like, is this it?
Good. We have one more actually
One
after
more.
this, and
Oh,
that's Lauren Kimberly Moore, who will be talking
okay.
about all of the sacred goodness happening in her life and in her container. So yes, just one more after this.
Okay. Well, I just always like to do a quick recap of everything that we've just discovered and what we've been like soaking in. But first of all, can we all get up?
Yes.
This is an embodiment leadership. So let's all get up and let's move. And I'd like you to just hit that sternum. And just let's get back into our bodies and learning so much here in space.
Yes, please.
Oh,
Lori, I think your sound is a little bit low,
wow. Can
just so
hear
you
me
know.
now?
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of low, but I hear you.
Well, are we good?
Yeah, I
Is
can hear you
that
better
okay?
now.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
There we
yeah,
go.
just stretch and take some big, deep breaths. Hit that sternum. Let's get back. So get in our bodies. And you can be up and moving around while I do a little quick recap. Thank you, Jen, for having all of us in this space. It's beautiful. I mean, anyone who is even attracted to Jen, we all know is our like badass women that are here to do big things. And just thank you so much for being here. Sahara Rose, wow, how cool is that she followed her passion? She was able to take something um, and take it and create this beautiful network around the world, this international network, which is amazing. Emily, awesome, awesome. I love that she brought in triangulation and abuse and recognizing that abuse, but also bringing in that sacred rage. That's what I call it. Like, it's okay to be angry. As women, we're taught and conditioned that that's not like the best look for us. So I love that she brought that in, that sacred rage. I mean, I feel like that's one of our superpowers here as women. And then Jennifer, oh my gosh, she's just this divine goddess. I absolutely loved her in every way, talking about the fear of being seen, having that voice. That's our power. Love that. Um, Apparently, I was decapitated because I felt that whole let's connect our head to our bodies. That was really powerful. Claudia, I love her because she showed that you just show up. That's all that needs to happen. We just show up in this space and we can still have that transmission, right? We have that message that goes out to the people. Marielle, wow, I was frantically writing down all the notes. I was so glad when you said there's gonna be some stuff out there because that's amazing. I actually am somebody who does run my business with astrology, and it is funny because people will say, "Oh, you're psychic," and it's like, no, no, it's in the stars. There's an alignment here. So, um, that is huge, especially with human design. I live my design and then the gene keys as well. I embody the essence of the gene keys and have had just profound shifts doing that. So thank you for being here, Jen. You're amazing in every way. I wanted to kind of show something a little different. This is also what's beautiful about doing these summits with these amazing leaders, these female leaders, because then everyone gets to actually see like a little bit of style and how to present your own message. And all of it's okay. It's however you want to show up. It's never about what you say. It's always just who's meant to hear it in that space. So it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter your presentation, and none of those things. So um I am actually going to, I love questions. I don't know how much time is left, but I'm going to kind of run through this because I wanted to share a little bit of my story and also do a clear at the end. So if you're still here, I hope that you stay just a few more minutes longer. I'm just going to Oh, and then also Danny, sorry, I want to talk about Danny real fast. So Danny, her talking about that we are the way showers and bringing up those two different archetypes. Those archetypes are huge. Okay, so for everybody, I've been watching the comments as well. Everyone here who's the spiritual leader and the spiritual teacher, there is a weird dynamic that kind of happens with the entrepreneur. It doesn't quite match up because we're taught, I mean, everything that she said, the strategy, the marketing calls, like all the social media stuff, all those things are very much taught out there. But that's not, I mean, it's all about our intuition. It is all about that and being that channel here. We already have it all. That's exactly what she said. We already have it here. We're already channeling it. So the last thing really is the blocks, right? So that's a great segue to go into what I want to share with you all today, because I am an emotional clearing practitioner. My specialty is limiting beliefs and releasing those. So today I wanted to talk about liberating the shadow of resilience. This is something that is not actually talked about very often. So I'd love if anybody has questions. Well, I'll just take a look at that after the clear. So you can drop your questions in there at any time, but just know I'll get in there then. Okay, so liberating the shadow of resilience. Okay, so this is for the woman who looks like she has it all together, but inside is quietly carrying the weight of everything she has survived. I want you to just take a big deep breath. Let's go ahead and ground here into this space. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your body in this moment. Feel the truth that you are here right now for a reason. I'm going to share something with you today that's not polished. It's not Instagram perfect highlight reel of my life, but it's the truth of what it means to survive. The cost of staying in survival for too long. My name is Lori Kinsey. I'm a trauma-informed advanced spiral practitioner and ASWB ACE provider. I work with survivors of domestic violence, abuse, and human trafficking, and leaders around the world. Conscious leaders are my passion. But long before I was doing this work, I was living in the middle of the very thing I now heal women from. I never saw myself in the domestic violence awareness ads. You know, the ones that there's the photos of the pictures of women with bruised faces, hiding in the shadows and afraid to speak. That was so not me. I was married. I had two beautiful children. We had a house, careers, vacations, a life that from the outside totally looked like a dream. I was strong. I was confident. I was capable, very high functioning, very successful in my career. This, what you see, is exactly who I was. But that's exactly why I didn't see it. Behind closed doors, it was a totally different story. What I lived through was extreme domestic violence, but it didn't look like what I was told abuse should look like. There were no black eyes. Yes, there were bruises, but none where anyone could see. There was no obvious chaos for others to witness. I mean, yes, there was chaos, but to me, it was my normal life. So I just went ahead with it and just thought there's nothing to see here. It was control, intimidation, manipulation, emotional and psychological harm so calculated that it made me question my own reality. Because I was resilient, because I was so good at holding it all together, I thought, well, maybe this is just me, because he blamed me for that. He always said it was me. Maybe this is just marriage. I mean, we were together for 11 years. And maybe this is the part that's really hard, is that maybe this is just life. My light had been so dim at that point that I literally forgot who I was. And I thought, well, maybe this is it. Maybe this is just life and this is what life has to offer. But that's the thing about being high functioning in abuse. Your very ability to cope becomes the reason that no one sees you need help. It's also the reason why you don't see it yourself. But let's talk about the shadow of resilience here, because resilience is actually a very beautiful thing. It's what gets us through the unimaginable. It's the reason so many of us are here standing today. If you are here in this space, if you're here live or watching the replay, you are resilient. You have survived the unimaginable, and that's actually what has also even been like a badge of honor or something like that, something that you take great pride in. I know I did. When I put in the comments about the masculine energy being familiar, that was me. It was that divine masculine that was actually keeping me safe and keeping me alive. But here's the shadow side. Resilience can also become a prison. When resilience is rooted in survival, it keeps us in situations that are breaking us because we've built the muscle to endure pain rather than the permission to walk away from it. This is what I loved about Emily's story and what she shared here. She was able to walk away from that. That was beautiful. Society praises women for being strong, for being adaptable, and for holding it all together no matter what. We're celebrated for our endurance, even when it's killing us. And depending on your culture or the country that you're in, it's even expected. So in leadership, especially feminine leadership, that's super dangerous because we start to mistake over functioning for integrity. We start to believe that pushing through is the same as thriving. But here's the truth. True feminine leadership is not about how much you carry. It's about how you're willing to set it down. That's the part, right? And a lot of times we don't even realize how much we're actually holding. So when we're talking about this embodied leadership and this different way of being a divine feminine leader, it's about flow, it's about integrity, it's embodiment out of the mind into the body, being that channel, that channel that Danny so beautifully shared. So it's not about martyrdom. So I am a human design 1-3. The 3 line is the actual martyr. I'm also half Japanese. So when I'm talking about culture, I mean, talk about resilience. That is bred into me. It's the essence. It's in my DNA. No one will see me break. I will never quit. I am going to get through anything and everything. And the more I suffer, the stronger I'll be. That's how I used to think. So sometimes the bravest thing we can do is not survive another day, but to choose something different. And that is actually when I discovered the spiral modality. So what I'd like to do is just a short, very simple, clear. I want to leave you today with something more than words. I want you to feel a shift in your body before you walk away from this space. So everyone could just take can you hear me okay still, Jen? Yeah. Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. So if I could just have consent, I'm going to be using kinesiology, just muscle testing here. You can say it out loud. You can just say it within, or you can even just watch. That's okay too, because there will be a replay too if you're interested. So, okay. All right. So I'd like you to just close your eyes, and I'd like you to think about resilience. I'd like you to think about, what does resilience mean to you? How is it represented in your life? And then when you have that, just open your eyes. Okay, I have my emotion chart here. Just going to be going through some of the things, and we're going to see what is the limiting belief that is keeping us from moving through from sharing our gifts with the world. Okay, we've got fire, earth, spleen, stomach, empathy, sympathy, disgust, worry, criticism, unreliable, disappointment. Okay, so we have disappointment here. So I'd just like to explain this just a little bit. And then as I'm explaining it, think about how disappointment might actually be limiting you, how it might be holding you back from creating this life that you love. So here we are in the earth element. The earth element is where we feel grounded. It's where we feel secure. It's where we feel nourished in our bodies. It's where we have stability. It's our strong foundation. Now, for those of you who feel a heaviness, you can feel a heaviness here, but it's that anchoring. It's that gravitational pull into Mother Earth, into who you are. Now we're in the stomach. The stomach is where we are breaking things down. It's how we absorb the information of our life and what's happening around us, all of our interactions, and where we live, our relationships, all of those things. And then disappointment here. Disappointment here is defined as sadness at having one's expectations go unfulfilled. Wow. We have a beautiful group of strong women here. And this is what's holding us back. The sadness at having one's expectations go unfulfilled. So just take a moment and think about that. How is that showing up in your life? For those of you that have expectations, I do in my gene keys. Expectation of the shadow of expectation. This might be something to look at here too. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's clear this. So what happens is it releases from the body, and then we have the opportunity to integrate this. So okay, so now we're going to go on the left side. This is what I love about the spiral modality is that we connect the dots, but we don't relive. So one thing I wanted to mention real quick, talk therapy never worked for me. I know it's an amazing modality and it works for a lot of people and it's very good at showing you the patterns. But what it did for me as someone who's experienced extreme trauma is that I would show up in an unhealed space, like in a mindset, and I would just relive. As I was talking, I was just reliving all of the experiences. And then that would trigger and activate me. And then I would be activated until my next session. And I'd be walking around in this reactive state. And so it never actually worked for me until I experienced some of these other modalities that actually get to the root cause of all of our traumas and our imprints. And that's what the spiral modality does. We don't actually go into it here in this space, but we get to the root cause, which is usually in our childhood of how we end up in the relation or in the situations that we do. But it's also beautiful because we're able to transform our pain into our purpose and come from an empowered place there. So, okay, so let's take our left hand. And we're just going to press on that acupressure spot on our body, which is the stomach. So left hand, you're going to go right here underneath the rib cage. And you're just going to very gently rub this area. Now this point is actually a very subtle clear. You may not feel anything at all. If you do, you might feel a little bit of nausea, and that's about it. So just big, deep breaths here. I'd like you to close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart as you're rubbing that spot. Take a big, deep breath in and let go. I'd like you to feel the version of you who's been carrying it all, the one who took on the weight so no one else had to, the one who never wanted to be called a victim, and let your body, just allow your body to release in whatever way that is. That could be burping, which is what I do, or tears. You could be yawning. You could even have the wiggles. Move the body in whatever way. Feel the one who stayed strong, even when it hurt. And when you feel her, I'd like you to share some wisdom with her. I'd like you to share with her that you no longer have to carry this alone. You no longer have to carry this alone. So breathe into the space in your body where you've been holding tension. And on your exhale, let go of just one layer of I have to be strong. And then repeat after me. I am safe to feel. I am worthy without the weight. And softness is my strength. Open heart, strong spine. And take a big deep breath. Then open your eyes when you are ready. If you need to move around a little bit, you can do that. The truth is, what you have survived does not define you. But what you choose to do with it absolutely can transform you. You don't have to do it alone. You were never meant to do it alone. And so with this one, we integrate. So we do clears and then we integrate. But because this was such a short amount of time, I'm actually offering something I've never offered before. And this is the Say Yes to Soul membership that I have. It's where I do my own personal work. We are actually literally integrating the shadow of resilience. And I'm offering 3 months free into this space because what happens with the work that we do is it's a very embodied experience. It's deep work that we do in the space. And so in order for anyone to actually really be able to embody this and to integrate this, it's going to be now integrating with us in that space. And then next month we'll have a clear and you'll be able to experience an entire clear. And then we take 2 months actually with that to integrate. And you experience profound, I promise you experience the most profound way of living. There's a freedom that happens. In fact, go ahead and stretch if you haven't stretched since then. There's an expansion and a freedom that happens when you're able to release from the body in this way. So I don't know, Jen, how is that? How's everyone feeling?
That is amazing. I've seen lots of hearts, lots of fire emojis. This is all of the things that are holding us back live within our bodies. And so it's the emotional pathology and finding that pathway that Lori clears. So when people say, wow, like I've gone to therapy for so long, I feel like I'm in the same place, you're still holding those wounds energetically within your body. And my personal experience, and many of the sisters even went in this container with Lori, it's literal overnight. Like you will feel it. And maybe even after this container has closed, you will feel it. And so this is so generous. Thank you so much for this offering and how you will be working with people. That's huge. So I highly recommend taking advantage of that and getting your energy into that.
Can I share one more thing about this real fast? Because I am all about nervous system regulation and everything else, there's another thing that I created actually for this space, that also I shared with all of my clients as well. So I created a downloadable PDF that has very fast, very quick nervous system regulation for those of you who might be experiencing some of these things, might be experiencing the abuse or violence, or might have experienced trafficking in the past, or just basically anyone that has the deep-seated panic attacks and things like that. There's a lot out there. I have it here. It's called the free breath work. I can add it if you'd like me to add it, but you can go ahead and open it up and then download it to your phone, and you will be able to immediately tap into several different kinds of breath work and nervous system regulation that you can do in just a bathroom stall, even if you need to, if you're out. So there's that too.
Yes. Thank you so much. And yeah, definitely, I believe her links are in the message thread. You all take advantage of this. This is like literally helped me collapse time and space with this work, the spiral. It's almost like you're kind of like, really, it's like a thing, but you will feel it. It's overnight, and you awaken into a new person, quite literally. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
like a different person now. I'm not who I was. All those things that were triggering me and setting me off were just like nothing. I'm like, this doesn't even matter to me anymore. So that's the power of this work.
Oh, one more little warning. And then I'm done. I always want to say thank you all for everyone for trusting me with this process. Because this work does happen that fast and it is releasing from the body in this way, we're now breaking neural pathways, creating new neural pathways. And so you might have disappointment, not might, you're going to have disappointment in like very much in your awareness, probably for the next couple of days for sure. And that's just now you're going to be responding, you're going to be learning how to respond versus react to disappointment. So just be aware of that. If you're like, oh, no, this did not release disappointment, I'm experiencing it all over here. So just know that that is here. And now it's just making a conscious decision to choose something differently. So yeah, and then also please join us and say yes to soul, because we are actively working on all of this right now. So
Yes. Thank you so much, Lori. We are so grateful for that. Yes, I know many women within this container work with Lori, and the change is palpable. And I like to joke that the spiral modality is not for punks. I like to joke and just say it as a joke, but it's so true. It's like, man, this is going to literally change everything in your life. So it's kind of like if you go in, it's like be ready, because you're going to come out a different person. You will not come out the same person. And you will be able to fully do your life the way you want to. Like, it's like after that, I was just like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm creating this, I'm creating that. I was just like, who am I? I'm like, oh, I'm not in my shadow anymore. I'm not blocked. I'm not blocking myself on my path. And it was all through the work of the spiral through Lori. So I've been working with her for like 3.5 years through these processes. So thank you so much. Our last speaker that we have, and then you all want to wait for this because okay, so another product that I love so much, and you guys know I'm going to be giving this away at the end, is Caraway. Okay, so if you all are not on non-toxic cookware, like get on it. Like if you're still cutting on a plastic cutting board, like don't do that because it's so toxic. So I just want to, this is going to be the last giveaway. It's like a non-toxic cutting board that I love. It literally comes with like an oil that you have to like, I'm like a Libra rising, so I love all this stuff. I'm like, I put the oil on and I'm like, oh, it needs to sit for 24 hours first. This is definitely healthy. I don't know, but it is true. Like Caraway is amazing. So let's move on now to our last speaker. Thank you so much for sticking with us, to the beautiful amazing Lauren Moore of Sacred Living Arts. Hello, sister. Okay, so Lauren is here. She is talking about grief as a gateway to abundance. So if you are somebody who has experienced grief in your life or is experienced grief in your life, it is a sacred passage. And Lauren is a certified interfaith spiritual director, grief companion, and sacred feminine embodiment guide who helps visionary women and leaders meet grief as a holy passageway, transforming loss into vitality, clarity, and abundance through grief embodiment, or I'm sorry, through embodied grief and the 5 sacred rites of divorce and separation. Okay, I'll say that again. The 5 sacred rites of divorce and separation. It's powerful work, you all. This is so good. She reframes endings as a fertile ground to new life. As founder of Sacred Living Arts and the host of the Rose in the Threshold podcast, brand new, can't wait to listen. Lauren weaves divine feminine leadership, ancient body wisdom, and ritual to guide women in reclaiming her power, rising, rooted, and leading from a deep well of their lived experience. So, without further ado, our very last speaker, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Oh, oh my gosh, just coming on the backside of Lori, I want to just say that I so appreciate your work. And I love containers like this where I get to meet other women who are doing incredible work. And so, yeah, I have like an element kink. So I love the somatic work that you brought us through, working with the earth element, and that's very much alive in the work that I do as well. So I can't wait to work with you sometime. um, so the reason that I wanted to speak about grief is because it's something that really all women are moving from. And my work is with women, and I want to say that grief really was a catalyst for my own feminine leadership. And it's, if we're not tending to our grief, I believe that it becomes really difficult to create space to allow for more. Um, I, I think that that's just like the law of the universe. It's not, it's kind of like one of those, one of those sort of disappointing truths that we find in our life. But grief tending, in my own lens, I treat it as good energetic hygiene. So just like we brush our teeth, just like we floss our teeth or we shower, we take care of our skin. This is a way that we keep ourselves healthy. And we can even do grief tending throughout the seasons to support keeping the body clear and spacious so that more goodness and abundance can come in. So I don't want to really, I feel like as a spiritual director, I don't give answers. I don't give you, um, I don't give you the guidebook so much. When we get into our body work, our somatic practices, yes, there's some good science to it, and there's protocols that would take place to actually create intentional shifts in the body. But I'm going to share some things, and I'd really like to just invite you to receive it as an invitation. And in doing that, maybe even just drop your eyes down, so that we can get into a place of receiving and even listening from the ears of the heart. This is something that is sort of reverse programming, where we're so in our heads most of the time, and we're always looking forward to the next thing that we get out of our body so easily. So let's just even use this as a practice to just listen with the ears of the heart and see how this resonates for you. And so I'll share a little bit about my story, some of the ways in which I like to kind of redefine grief and its relationship to abundance, which I think can be kind of sticky for some people. And I also want to honor that, because with grief, oftentimes it comes out of a situation where it leaves us in financial stress, without a job, without a partner, and that doesn't feel like abundance. And I get that. And I honor that place because it's a big reality for a lot of us. But it also invites us to come in to an intentional decision around what we do with our grief. So I would say that my own early wounding actually unconsciously made me decide to buck the system. And in my situation, I feel like it's a little different. I didn't go into the masculine, I went into the feminine and kind of left the masculine behind. And so I have worked for myself since I was in my mid-20s, and it allowed me this incredible freedom that was aligned with my values of taking care of myself and having a sense of well-being. And I really never did strive for wealth, that kind of abundance. Abundance for me wasn't that. It was about being in flow with what I was aligned to. And it was about being in receivership. And it was about feeling safe in my body. And so for me, abundance is also about presence, adaptability, joy, patience. And these qualities have really gotten me through times where I was seeking love, I was navigating sexual trauma, raising 3 children, through fostering and adoption, through death threats and divorce, and also my own spiritual deepening. So, without going into detail around all those things, I've always really swam in the current of grief most of my life. I don't know. I feel like for some reason it was just a close friend, to be honest, and I've never been uncomfortable with it. However, I know that our culture is very uncomfortable with grief, and we have no clue how to deal with it. And oftentimes, people going through trauma or crisis or challenge can be very triggered or re-triggered by people's sometimes unconscious attempts to help, and it just doesn't land. It's because we're uneducated. We have a lack of intelligence around grief. And so it's just something that we can learn about. So this is why I work with people in what's called embodied grief. A very similar process in a sense to what Lori does. This process is a little bit different in that it uses Kundalini yoga, along with the 5 elements of the TMC Taoist tradition, which is so yummy. And then I also bring that embodied grief practice into the 5 sacred rites of divorce and separation. I feel the same as Lori, is that I think talk therapy just doesn't really work for me. And there's not a lot of options in the mainstream that suggest or teach us to go into the body. And most of us, a good percentage of us, especially in their Western culture, are disembodied. So we're not even aware maybe of the grief that we're holding. So for me and my work, embodied grief is a somatic-based feminine approach to grief tending. It is sacred, and it invites us to understand the body's wisdom our energetic design, and our cyclical nature in life. So this is about really befriending the idea that we are in continual flow of life, death, and rebirth. And so this is why I love using this 5-element theory, because there is this constant flow of the elements that bring us into a place where we can work with these cycles. And there's this continual harmonization that's taking place between the elements. It's not something that we just learn intellectually. This is actually happening within our body. And then I also weave in the rose codes as a Magdalene rose priestess, and much of the wisdom of the divine feminine. So this is a divine feminine process where we really lean in to be nurtured, to learn how to care for ourselves when we're going through grief. One of the most important things to do, and probably the hardest, is to take care of ourselves, even if we have all the tools, right? And that's why we have to lean into others at times of grief to help us take care of ourselves. So as I said, every woman I know is moving from a space of grief in some form or another. Perhaps we're just like treading in water, in that liminal space. Or maybe we're in the heat of an alchemical refinement through a major life initiation, such as divorce, or even becoming an empty nester. I just had 2 children graduate from high school. It's a big change. Any type of loss, little or big, and even transitions in life, like going into that season of menopause or perimenopause. Anyone going through that? Find that difficult? Yeah, that will bring up so much of the areas that we need tending to. So there's an invitation. I want us to just take a moment and just become aware of what threshold you are in now. Or maybe you've been in one recently. And notice, has that threshold shaped you in any way? Is it shaping you? Is it molding you? And also, I want us to recognize perhaps that in these thresholds, most of the time, they are a place of challenge and difficulty, and ones that we resist. There are moments in life that are just challenging, but they are also, or I should say, and they are also a catalyst for human transformation. I don't know why that has to be. I really feel like that was divinely designed because it just seems like, whew, when we go through shifts and changes in life, it just is usually something has to release. We have to go through that metamorphosis. And there's that period of time between the caterpillar and the butterfly where there's just a bunch of goo. And I think that's what it feels like sometimes. So we get stuck in the goo sometimes. And grief hurts because it removes our comfort. And it leaves us in the mystery of unknowing. And who likes that? Like, does anyone actually like being in the unknown, in the mystery, and not having control? So in grief, the body naturally contracts, and it contracts for protection. And this can be healthy in the short term, but without grief tending, we can get stuck there. And so what doesn't help is that our culture has a very low grief IQ. We have lost ancient healing traditions, and we've inherited beliefs that grief is weakness, something to suppress, something to keep private or push through. Did anyone ever tell you to just soldier on? And so I'll give you an example. I use this one a lot because it's like, I don't know, 20 some years later, maybe 30 years later, I'm still just shaking my head at it. So like when I was an older teenager, my father told me these exact words, like they've never been able to leave my mind. He told me not to cry. Only babies cry. And he also gave me the impression that anytime I went to him for an emotional plea or a complaint, that I was being disrespectful. What he didn't know, and what maybe would have changed his response, is that crying releases oxytocin and opiates. It soothes our pain and it increases bonding. And I can tell you that I would have wanted nothing more but to bond with my father more. A missed opportunity. So these neurochemicals open us to love, connection, and belonging. These three things are really challenged when we're in acute grief. Abundance isn't about having more, it's about being more connected. And so these conditioned beliefs have helped us develop an illusion of scarcity. So because our culture views grief through scarcity, we don't know how to respond to others' pain. And we fear change within ourselves. I work with a group of women weekly who still struggle anytime there is change, even a change in the schedule, a change in the day of the week, little changes, big changes. It's just hard for most of us. Yeah. But unprocessed grief narrows our world. We cling, we contract, and we lose our flow. Grief is almost always about unbinding. When we unbind, space is created for new relationships, creativity, and for life to take root. Unbinding is the first rite of the 5 sacred rites of divorce and separation. Super important in how we relate to our grief to others is how we are binded to the expectations or the role that they've played in our lives. The truth is that our body is an altar. Grief is stored not just in memory, but in the tapestry of our nervous system, our fascia, and our organs. And through embodied grief, we use the breath, we use movement, we use kriyas, ritual, to have that constriction released, and also to ignite areas that need re-energizing and vitality. So release equals capacity. The body becomes more spacious when we release what we no longer need to hold on to. So we have space for joy, vitality, receptivity. When we lay our grief on the altar, the body becomes an altar of abundance. And when we're in our feminine flow, we allow. We allow. Grief dismantles attachments and identities that no longer serve us. Abundance is less about accumulation and more about flow. Grief tending restores our flow. It expands our perceptions, it reveals interconnectedness, and it allows us to trust in life's provisions. So in embodied grief, as I mentioned, we really lean into some of the concepts within traditional Chinese medicine. And we can understand that grief is linked to the lungs. And the lungs is what breathes life and animation into us. It's what inspires us. And it's synonymous with spirit. So for me, in my marriage, that spirit, if you imagine it like a flame in a candle, that spirit was very diminished. That light was barely visible. And so there was very little inspiration left for life. And then in our large intestine, this is also connected to grief. Grief lives in this body, remember. This is about release and letting go. So it's that inhale and exhale. Beautiful example and expression of receiving and giving, or receiving and letting go, allowing, release. When grief is honored, our lungs come back into this vitality, this life of inspiration. Our breath deepens. If you've ever experienced this acute grief, like it's almost as though you can't breathe, right? Like somebody just like squeezed your lungs and you can't breathe. So in order to have and create new life, we have to start breathing again. And grief is connected to the metal element, which builds our ability to see ourselves more authentically. And we can embody this element archetype, which I call the revealer. She's also the sage or the wise woman. Like she knows the truth of who she is. She knows the truth of life's situations. And she helps us in this journey through the knowing what needs to be released and when. So there's this beautiful, what I would say, feminine grief tending, where there's no timeline for grief, as Western medicine might think there is. There's really no timeline for where we spend our grief in rage and depression and isolation. But there is this wisdom that we can come into that the revealer shows us when we are ready to expand into something new. And sometimes we've fell into a pattern of grief for such a long period of time that we get stuck there. It becomes our new normal. And that's not uncommon, and it's not something to be ashamed about. Like, even if we've been in this phase of contraction and isolation, there might be a period of time where you're kind of ready to put yourself out there again, but it's just so hard. So what do? When we start to move the body and we work with grief in this really advanced somatic way by activating certain meridians in the body. Meridians are just sort of like energetic highways. We can shift our energy to what we desire. And it's as Lori said, it's laying down new neural pathways. It's re-energizing and bringing the energetic template back into resilience so that it can just function more normally. It's about learning how to regulate our nervous system again. And I just also want to just say that it's funny. Like let's just like call it what it is. It's just a weird like thing that the universe created where when we're in acute grief, it's like we forget all of our tools. Like you could have all the tools, all the modalities, you've done all the trainings, but grief just has this ability, you know, whether it's because the prefrontal cortex shuts down, like we just can't pull the tools out. So we need support. And so embodied grief, 5 sacred rites are an invitation really to help to just have support, kind of getting yourself back online, using some tools that are very specific for your need, because everyone's grief is a little different. Everyone's grief expresses differently. And so you learn about how grief expresses itself, like where you're at in that cycle of elements and how to get it balanced. So the archetype of the revealer also really brings us into a place of compassion. And this is also the work that I do with the divine feminine, and why she's so important in this grief tending process is that she's the nurturer. She's the one that brings us into this place of grace, this place of compassion, where we don't have to judge ourselves for how we feel. We allow. And she reminds us that because I grieve, I can love more. This is what abundance is in grief work. So grief is not the opposite of abundance. It's a threshold into it. So when we allow grief to move through the body systematically with breath, sound, meditation, or somatic ritual, contraction gives way to flow. Compassion deepens and we become more connected to love, belonging, and life itself. Abundance is not about having more, but about becoming more spacious, receptive, and alive. And grief is the gate that opens us there. So I normally would love to offer you a little bit of somatic work, but we already did some. So I'm going to say we're good because I want us to like maybe integrate what we've already done with Lori. And I do have a free offering. It's like a little page. It's got like 3 free offerings. None of them require an email sign up. And for me, that's important because I want to honor people's privacy in grief. And the grief work's not for everyone. So if you want to learn more, you can always sign up for my emailing list. But these free gifts are truly just free. I ask nothing in exchange. One of them is a mini devotional for 5 sacred rites of divorce and separation. The other one is a general practice to finding your resting place. This is some practice that you can use for the rest of your life. It's a place to find that still point in your own being. So you can return to that space when you're feeling a little dysregulated. And then the third is a free exploratory call with me if you want to learn more about finding your own energetic space in grief. And you could work with me one-on-one or in groups to work on this grief tending or 5 sacred rites of divorce and separation. So I think that's all I got, Jen. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, Heather. And thank you for everyone who's like in this energy and holding on with us. I appreciate you so much. I see so many of you in here who I know personally who I've been in sister circle with or human design classes with, or just online in these sort of similar containers. Thank you so much, Lauren, for everything that you shared. There is a Google Doc link in the message thread. And so I just want to direct you there if you are interested in downloading a bit of her freebies. It's so good. I think that her sacred work is so interesting and so unique. And I also want to give a shout out to my sacred sponsor, which is a woman who is a divine channeler in sacred geometry. We are actually putting her links in the chat right now. I highly recommend you all check her out if you like all the visuals that come from my end. Whether it be my logo or my website and everything like that. Like this woman, she is fantastic. She actually kind of does me the favor by doing this design work for me on the side, but she's more integrated in sacred geometry. So if you visit her website, which we will drop it in the link right now, I'll also put it in the replay email, you will find the most incredible website you've ever seen. It is, as soon as you open it up, it is so phenomenal. It is the Dragon Sigil and Flame Remembrance. Heather just put it in there. You can click that to kind of get a visual of it. She's basically offering a sacred 30-minute ceremony where she will create a personalized sigil based on your birth chart and numerology. The sigil carries the frequency of your elemental dragon guardian and fire, earth, air, or water, and becomes a living symbol of your soul flame. During your session with her, she will reveal the meaning of your numbers, guide you to connect with your dragon, and activate the remembrance of your eternal flame. You leave with both a tangible sigil to work with and a renewed energetic bond with your guardian and ancient ally working and walking beside you once more. So I can't actually pull this up without taking you all out, but I just kind of want to show you the frequency of some of the work she does. It's actually completely next level, in my opinion, the work that she does. But we went ahead and put the link in there. Please check her out. It's a free 30-minute, which is like she never does. I think that specific 30-minute offering is worth I think she sells it for like $188 on her website, but she has a promo code #BossWomanSummit 2025, and you will get it for $0. So, and that's like unheard of. She's this beautiful mystic out of Canada, always working in her frequency. Unfortunately, her dog has fallen ill today, so she was unable to be on, but I want to be sure to give her a major shout out to all of this. She also offered one last thing, which is a free ritual workbook, accessing soul memory through elemental alchemy. So there's the free 30-minute, but then there's also just the free workbook. It looks like this, and we're adding that to the chat as well if you're interested. It's very powerful. Her business is called Elemental Wisdom 444. Shout out to Cheryl Ertel. She's amazing. So closing this out, I just would love it if we could take a deep breath, and we'll get into our last giveaway here. The promotion code, Annie's asking. The promotion code is, I will actually just drop it really quick. And again, she never offers free 30-minute ceremony. So I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yes. She's just a sacred mystic. Doesn't like too much to be in front of the camera and stuff like that. Anyway, but this is the promo you can use to click that link and definitely connect with her. She's so powerful. So if we want to jump on, let's do this let's see here. All right. So if we could get Heather, if you're able to jump on, we'll do our last giveaway and wrap. And yes, thank you, Lauren, again so much for your beautiful offering. Okay, so where is her? Okay. Are you? So many buttons. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that was actually, she was just showing Elemental Wisdom 444, her website, which, I mean, anytime I go on there, it's like I get knocked on like my butt. I'm like, because it's like all the sacred geometry is so overwhelming. It's almost like the frequencies literally come at you like as soon as you log on. So check her out. Elemental Wisdom 444. And I think Heather is putting on our last giveaway, which again is this last giveaway is a Caraway. It's a medium non-toxic cutting board. If it's FSC approved wood. So yes, it's a good one, y'all. And you definitely want to be cutting your beautiful sacred organic food on a non-toxic cutting board. So Catherine, and that's actually so perfect that Catherine has won this beautiful cutting board. I love this. Catherine actually was meant to be, Catherine, if you wouldn't mind sending your address to Heather in the chat, she can go ahead and get you all squared away there for that. But she is our sacred winner of our beautiful cutting board, clean, non-toxic cutting board through Caraway. And if you all are interested in non-toxic cookware, like seriously check out Caraway. Like I obviously get nothing for it, but I just think it's a wonderful way to step into the non-toxic cookware world. And so in that, I'm so glad Catherine was able to have that cutting board. She actually was meant to be a speaker today. And so I would love it if you all would check her out anyway. Catherine was unable to speak, unfortunately, but I am adding her information here if you all would love to check her out. She does amazing divine channeling, and I highly recommend you connecting with her as well. So as we are closing this out, every single one of you showed up today for yourself, so I just honor you. And I ask that we just like take a deep breath and really like feel into our space as we're closing out our sacred circle today, and to just remember that you took this time for yourself. And we are the women of the hashtag new paradigm, okay? Boss women, where we are leading from this divine, unapologetic, magnetic, deeply intentional space, calling in all that we are wanting to create. And what we've all received today is so sacred. Take it into your day, take it into your weekend, your life, and let it shift you. Please stay connected to the sisters within this container. These are the women that help shift time and space for me, and I wish that, and I know that they will do the same for you. And also stay connected to all of the people who not only spoke but just were in the container. I feel like this is how we make sister bonds along the way. And to remember that you are the frequency holder of your divine life and your intention. And I always just say, stay focused on your North Star, okay? And sometimes your North Star might be getting through the day, okay? Like, let me get to the end of this day and I'll be all good. But really, just keeping connected to your North Star and what it is that you're divinely intended to create in this world from this new frequency. It's very intentional that I created this space, which is it being the new paradigm hashtag boss women, because I feel that women are leading from a new space. We are the boss women, but we're leading from this divine feminine frequency that's magnetizing in everything that we're desiring to create in our life. From that space, we are not in this hustle mentality. Instead, we are in this divine magnetism that's pulling in all that we are desiring to create while we honor our cycles, while we honor the wheel of the year, while we honor the fact that we have a family, and most women kind of hold that emotional frequency even within the household. So honoring all the ways in which we show up in this world, knowing that we don't have to do it like a man. We don't have to hustle and push our nervous system to the brink. Instead, we can anchor into this feminine frequency and use that energy to grid and create all that we are divinely intended to create. So with that, thank you so much. The replay will be sent out. Thank you for everyone who came on, and I will be connecting with you all very soon. Thank you so much.